think we're live.
Whoa.
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 It's the first time we're doing this with these things here, so I want to make sure that we're definitely gonna fix this stuff as we go along here. Very high tech, very professional. So I want it to come towards me. I know we're actually live on the internet right now, but
It's
I'm
like
just
behind the scenes.
It's the first time we've done this. So I want this.
I think we're supposed to charge for special access. Like
there
this.
we go. I don't know, Paul.
Get
Adam's a little shorter than I am.
the real
for some
banter.
reason. Are you taller than me?
Watch Adam struggle to not say all kinds of horribly inappropriate things because he's never live when he talks.
It's so funny because I was in the front on Wednesday talking to someone. Someone was like just swearing. I'm like, there's like people here. And it's like Paul actually knew the people, and it was funny how it was not a typical thing. So we're live at Galactic Comics in Bangor, Maine. We are on 547 Hammond Street. So if you're in the greater Bangor area, swing by. Free comic book day. This is the main state of mind, but also we're doing this as Capes and Tights, the new comic book podcast that Adam and I are doing. And so, we have some things on here. I'm going to pull up the comments on Facebook too. So if you are watching and you can't hear us or anything like that, I want to make sure that we know so we can fix things. Because again, we're hoping to doing more of these in the future. We just don't know. This is the first time using it, so I want to make sure people are on board here too. Let's see here. No comments yet. I'm going to share this. Cool. This is going to be like low key, just right here. We're doing this. It's not, we do pre-recording and editing of our regular stuff. So you're going to get kind of a live stream kind of way of how we do things.
Yeah. I haven't been live for a long time. I've been on the radio before, but It's been years.
Yes. This is very helpful that I can't hear it.
Yeah.
I've also been live in a area where people can hear me talk.
Yes.
Like out further. And so I'm like, this is probably not. If we were like, we had this, like, Adam and I are joking, right in front of us is a chair. And we were laughing that someone's going to come here and sit down and watch it. It's going to get very awkward very quickly with people just being like, what's going on right there? Like, yeah, we're just doing a podcast. Don't worry.
Somebody's going to come sit in your lap.
Yeah.
Do the podcast with us.
No.
Okay.
We are, again, live at Galactic Comics, Bangor, Maine, talking Free Comic Book Day. You can't see this because of the lighting in here, but there's a ton of free comic books out today. There's like, what is there got to be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17 free comic books today, and they're absolutely free. You can swing in 3 comic books per person. You come in, grab a title, look around the shop. This is something that's been going on for this is the 20th year. Does it say 20 years in here? Yeah, 20 years. The 20th year of the day of giving away free comic books. It's at your LCS or your local comic book shop. It's the idea to bring people in, give them something for free, make them walk around. There's other deals going on too, and I actually don't have that right in front of me, which is funny because we probably should have had that ahead of time. But what we can see right now next to us in the back room here is a giveaway for a badass Spawn statue, and then gift cards to the shop. The Spawn statue giveaway is also free, so just come in, grab some free comic books, and sign up for this. But Paul or Adam and I already talked about, I may replace your ticket with mine because I really want it.
I think that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think so. All of a sudden, I know I'm going to create other people's names with my phone number on it and email.
Yes.
And so Paul pulls the ticket out, and it's like,
Ooh, we should set up a bunch of burner numbers. I have an app on my phone and just enter a bunch of random people. Yeah, totally.
But the funny thing about it is there's actually not a lot of tickets in there right now. I mean, they've been busy and stuff like that, but it's out in the back room. So if you do come in and want the Spawn figurine, it is a good chance you're actually going to be able to get something like you're like a 1 in 50 chance.
This is way better than like any other giveaway.
Yes.
Which is a thing, like you said, that's the beauty of the local thing. You enter all these huge competitions, but man, there's stuff like this going on all the time. Like get out and do it.
And it's been difficult. So last year for Free Comic Book Day, they did Free Comic Book Month.
Yes.
Because of the pandemic, and they were able to give away comic books all over the month. They slowly got them and so on. And I just found out, which is kind of a cool thing, is that I thought they just gave them the comic books. I didn't realize that Paul's taking a hit on this too, which is what he does, but it's to get people in the door. Yep. Come in, and if you buy a back stock issue that we see over here to our left, that probably pays for this. And it's not like
it gives them more value too. I mean, I get the thing is, I mean, maybe everybody might not know that, but I feel like if it was just, all these companies sending out a bunch of free, nobody would care. I mean, that would be like the stuff you pick up at a rest stop.
Yep.
But because that the companies are making them, the stores are paying them. Like, I think that's a pretty cool way to do things.
And I say most of these are probably not full length, and they probably have a lot of advertisements in them and stuff like that.
Sweet.
But like,
Boys.
yeah, so we just thought we'd go over a few of them as well as we talk here. What you can pick up. I think some of them might be already demolished, but the big ones to me always are the Marvel ones, because that's obviously, and a lot of times I think a couple of years ago's one, there was like not first appearance, but it kicks off things that make our continuity, that makes sense, that if you didn't get it on Free Comic Book Day, you're missing something in the storyline, which is a pretty cool way to get people to get them. Yeah, so I mean, we had Adam just picked up The Boys book here, Herogasm.
Yes,
that makes a little sense there.
The art's pretty cool. Like
yeah,
I didn't see the show drawn in comic book form.
Earth's Mightiest Heroes, The Avengers, Free Comic Book Day, also featuring Hulk, and that's with Jason Aaron doing that book, which is, I mean, that's a person. It's not like a nobody either.
Exactly. I think that's a thing of where it being an actual thing comes in. Like, you put your good artists on it because they're making money for their artists. That's the point, right? The free thing would be everybody's, like, the artists aren't making any money, and that sucks.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. There's MODOK's in it.
That's super cool. That's good. Ties in with the stuff going on.
Yeah. Obviously, this is not so. Marvel didn't put a Star Wars book out for Free Comic Book Day, but there's a back. I don't know the whole story behind it, but I know that IDW still has the rights to produce some comic books, and that's like ones, I think the ones that say Adventures in the bottom of it, so like Star Wars Adventures. And so Star Wars The High Republic is the new series that have come out recently. And Marvel's put it out. There's been comic books, there's been books, there's been a bunch of, there's eventually gonna be movies. We talked about this. They got to do a High Republic movie at some point.
I mean, that's the thing, and it's just like, you and I've talked about this. We're just ready for something that's not the same Luke Skywalker story. So the High Republic's exciting.
And so this is an IDW Star Wars Adventures one. They've released, because of this whole High Republic thing too, because it takes place free. It takes place pre Skywalker trilogy. And there's a lot of first appearances.
And I think
because
it's like
new comic
book. Pull a lot of people in from the Old Republic days that, you know, were kind of wanting that older story that takes place before. So that's cool.
These are some independent ones too. I'll get to those in a second. Assassin's Creed, an R.L. Stine book. Zom 100, The Bucket List of the Dead. Don't know that one. It looks backwards, doesn't it?
It totally does.
It's probably because it's not in.
It is in English to get your attention.
I guess so. When I saw this one, it looked like some sort of Nickelodeon book or some sort of. It
totally does.
Who sparked the Montgomery bus boycott? Okay, so it's probably more of
it's an educational comic for
younger kids. Archie. Cool. Sonic the Hedgehog's 30th anniversary. Spider-Man and Venom. That one's a cool one.
That's super cool.
That's really cool. The Beast Boy Loves Raven. Teen Titans. DC book. Batman Special Edition book. Batman and Robin and Howard.
That's pretty funny.
And then Blade Runner Origins 2029. That's from Titan Comic Books, which is pretty cool. And then this is the one that I think a lot of people have been coming in for today, which is the Enter the House of Slaughter free comic book. It's a rated T book from Boom. It follows the series of Something's Killing the Children, which is a very popular series right now. And they're coming out with a new books, or they just did started the origin of Erica Slaughter, one of the main characters. And so this is probably going to tie into that. So a lot of people have coming into that. The funny thing I realized over the years, and one of the reasons why I like to pick up a few of these books, even if it's like they're not, like I collect, right? I'm a collector. I want high quality books. I want the value. I want the collectability on them and stuff like that. But I realized over the past couple of years that there are a few comic books that are like free comic books that you get that are worth money.
Sure.
They're like 5-10 years from now. They're worth money. So the Enter the House of Slaughter, this could be one of those ones that like read it, love it, enjoy it, but also like put it on the shelf, put it in a bagging board, because it actually might be worth some money someday. But there's all kinds of absolutely. We're just recording in here. We're free comic book day, so come on in, enter the drawing. That Spawn character there. I'm telling people to enter the drawing. I don't know why I'm doing that.
You're gonna lose.
I'm in that drawing, and I'm gonna lose my Spawn. I'm gonna tell someone to join it, and they're gonna end up losing it. Yeah. But and then there's free comic books over here too. Oh, okay. That table, 3 comic books today. So we're talking
free comic book day.
Free comic book day. And we're also like, this is cool. One of the cool thing about this is I wanted to use this whole StreamYard thing for the first time, and the different features that are on it. And so I felt like we didn't probably need a 5-minute break at some point, but we're going to have one just so I can see how that works.
Because you want to play with it. Yeah. I mean, I'm like living obsessively in like NFT world right
Yes,
now.
I know.
You don't have to explain to me why am I doing this?
But it's like also the proof of a small podcast is that you're also the the talent, the producer, the editor, the everything all at once,
and the talent, man. That we use that lightly.
That's a lightly term, yeah. Talent.
Thank God we're good looking.
Oh yeah, look at your shirt on today too, right?
Yep.
You got your hat. Right way. You got the hats on. But it's funny because we actually, whenever we planned this with Paul to come here for Free Comic Book Day, the main state of mind was the whole thing in place. And I think that the main state of mind makes sense here because we are in Maine. It's a Maine store and doing the whole Maine thing. But also, it's at the same time we're also co-releasing that partner podcast, I would say,
exactly.
Under the same umbrella where we're moving all of our pop culture, comic book, and all that stuff related topics to Capes and Tights, which is basically so that we can have a more focused episode. So we have ones that we'll talk about Paul's shop, but it also falls under the Capes and Tights. So today it's like this is a Main State of Mind podcast live stream.
It's a transition,
but it's also under Capes and Tights because of that, and it's part of our comic book extravaganza month because we're doing on Wednesday. Josh comes on and talks comic book movies. Feels like we recorded that like 3 months ago.
Oh my God. Yes,
because we were trying to catch up on some things and be prepared for this, but like I was like, oh my gosh, when is that Josh podcast? Oh wait, it still hasn't come out.
There was another one we did that I was like, oh, like the Spencer's ice cream in Illinois. That like I looked at it the other day and I was like, I don't remember that hardly. That was a weird week.
But so Josh from Queen City Cinema Club is on our podcast on Wednesday on the Main State of Mind as well as on Capes and Tights because I'm co-releasing. We're like putting it on both platforms right now until they can until we start to do the every other week. And then we'll have a couple other host-only podcasts coming up in the end of this month. Will and Jay from the Bangor Comic and Toy Con will be on to talk of the Comic Con. But I want to say something cool while we're talking comic books, and we'll get away from Free Comic Book Day for a second here. But they just announced that on Friday the 13th, they announced a new addition to the 2022 Comic Con.
Oh, yeah.
Let me get this right, names right, and all that stuff before I actually say things. That's pretty funny. I looked it up. Friday the 13th. I looked up Jason's actor movies, and it came up as Jason Statham.
Oh yeah.
That's because he was in him. Yeah. Who was it? I should have had this all written down. We're definitely low budget.
This is the talent part we're talking about.
It's quote unquote talent. It's on the Kane Hodder. That's who it is. Kane Hodder.
A lot of cool people.
But he'll be at the one in 2022. So I wanted to just throw that out there. They announced it yesterday. He played Jason on Friday the 13th, and he'll be at the 2022 Comic Con. Yeah. But 2021 Comic Con happens in October, and Paul Will was going to try to swing by and jump on and talk to us during this live stream, but he was busy. He had to work.
Gotcha.
And so Will and Jay just had a baby, so I don't blame him. He literally had a baby on Thursday.
It's no excuse.
So I was like, hey, yeah, we'll talk about it. So Comic Con for Bangor is the 1st through the 3rd of October at the Bangor Mall in Bangor, Maine. Obviously, it's got. I'm gonna say a couple, but then I'm gonna give one person to Adam to say, and he knows who that person is. Right.
I do, but I'm gonna make sure that it's the person you want.
We have the guys from Clerks are gonna be in town, so they'll be on there. So Jason Mewes, Brian O'Halloran, and the crew. We have obviously artists like Ben Bishop and Jason Schmalke and all that stuff. And then we have, Adam has one that he's been waiting since he was a childhood person to see this person. And come on, who is it? You don't know now, do you?
I do, but I'm trying to find a picture. I'm not
trying to find a picture of when you fell in love with this person, or
I don't want to say that, but yes.
Come on, man, who is it?
It's April O'Neil from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, man.
You don't even want to say her name. It's Judith Hogue. Judith Hogue will be here on October 1st to the 3rd, as well as Mick Foley.
I know. Well, there's so many good names. I didn't know who you wanted me to say. Yeah, there's all kinds of people coming.
Well, you also could have had a childhood crush on Mick Foley. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
It's possible. I'm gonna go through and pull some of these people up. But one of the cool things about
don't we have someone from Neverending Story?
Yes, Noah Hathaway. Yeah. Ooh, someone just got 20% off. So that's a fun thing. So if you buy comic books today at Galactic Comics in Bangor, you actually can roll a 20-sided die in a cool tower, dice tower that they have out front that's being made for sale. That if you get one, get 1% off,
yes.
2% off, up to 20% off.
That's
and
awesome.
Someone just rolled a 20, so they get 20% off, which is kind of fun. Those are kind of fun. I wish you did it every day.
You would have loaded dice.
Just like
20-sided dice. 20% off again.
Why does it all say 20?
I won the Spawn collectible. This is crazy.
Well, I always felt like there's people that I know. I used to have a friend who used to go to every concert in the Bangor waterfront concerts and win tickets. Every single time he'd be there, he'd win tickets. Like he'd enter a drawing, he's going to see the thing. And I'm like, who do you know? No one is that lucky. And if you're that lucky, why are you winning tickets? Why aren't you playing the lottery? Like, this is dumb. Like, you should be.
But some people are that lucky.
But like literally every show, they're just like, oh yeah, I won tickets. I'm like, someone had tickets. Yes. And they had 3 sets of tickets to give away, and they gave away 2, and then they slid ones to you, and you won them. And you like, come on, there's no way that you win tickets all the time.
That's how the entire NFT world works right now. Look what I won, and I'm like, you spent $80,000 on NFTs today. Somebody just gave you that to pitch. Correct.
Thing. Yes, absolutely. So
I hear you.
Speaking of that, we did that episode on NFTs, and Tom Brady NFTs went on sale on DraftKings now too.
Yep.
Everybody's selling them. NFTs are.
I thought you were going to say Tom Brady watched the podcast.
Tom Brady did. He's actually going to be on the podcast.
Yep, he is.
Well, can we get in trouble for doing that? Like, could you just like promote it by saying he's going to be on it? And
he won a giveaway.
Isn't that the episode of The Office where Michael has tickets to Bruce Springsteen that he's trying to give away, and he never actually has them?
I just saw that the other night. Yeah.
This next prize is Boss, and everybody's like, and he gave what's his name the guy who works in a warehouse. He gave him songs to play, and they're all like Huey Lewis in the News. It's like not even Bruce Springsteen songs. He's like, he gave me these 3 songs. They're all Huey Lewis in the News, and one is Back in Black.
What is it, like a hug from Phyllis?
Yes, it was like $2,000. It's like, oh, has anybody ever seen backstage passes, all access, front row seats to Bruce Springsteen anywhere? Oh, I guess they were stolen.
They were probably.
It was in. So Tom Brady will be on the podcast at some point.
Yeah. We're not saying which Tom Brady. I guarantee you I can get you a
Tom Brady. We can find a Tom Brady. Yeah. It's one of the same thing. It's like, we will have so-and-so on. I'm not going to promise it, but one day we will. And that could be possibly be that maybe he does come on when where the talent is actually talent.
I'm just telling our listeners that I'm just going to find a Tom Brady in Bangor and invite them on. And I don't know what.
If your name is Tom Brady and you want to join us on the podcast, we have space for you.
Today we have all the Tom Bradys from Bangor here.
We'll just do it every week. Hey, with Tom Brady. But yeah, so one of these days we'll be big enough to have Tom Brady in it. But like I said, we'll be replacing us as talent. The main state of mind will have a podcast, which will be better talent, and we'll just be behind the scenes watching.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get you some real hosts.
Poems that we don't want to ramble on about nothing here. So you usually have a better plan here, but I just thought, let's just go for it. Now it's like,
well, and part of our plan was we were going to grab people, and a lot of people are out front,
and they're also
probably scaring people
working.
Off.
Well, we did. When somebody, can we come back here? I'm like, yeah, of course you can come back here. Yep. Get on the podcast. I don't care. I'm just here to drink here, but so one of the things I will say is that one of the reasons why I wanted to do a live stream on a day like today at Free Comic Book Day is that the local comic book shops did take an impact, a hit
big time
over the year. But it also, when I was talking to my dad about bad things that changed during the pandemic, like things that we like lost businesses, people closed, things like that. But there's also other places that we gained certain cool aspects of things. And that would be is one of the things that I saw with places like local comic book stores and then breweries, for an example, is people just, here's my money. How can I support you?
Yeah.
What can I do? And so like there was a guy that was listening to a podcast the other day called Off Panel, and he had a local comic book shop, and this guy was like, what can I do to help you?
Yep.
What can we do? And he goes, I have this lawn box. Have it. Take it. It's yours.
Yep.
Don't need any money on it. Guy was slipping through it, and there's like some pretty serious comic books in there. He's like, this is how I'm going to support you, help you. So now, now this guy could put it online or sell it and make some money in the time. And it's the same thing here. It's like, Paul, I'm not going to be able to get to your shop today because I can't figure out a way to get picked up or whatever. Can you invoice me for what I owe you for the comic books? And he invoiced me, I paid it. And then like 2 days later, my wife would be able to swing by and pick it up or something.
Yep.
And so we were able to support these shops. But in the same time, I don't want to, in a comic book store, I don't want to bash Diamond Distributors or any of these other places. But at the same time, they shut down Diamond Distributors for a couple of months. So places like this where Paul, like his whole thing, it's like if all of a sudden out of nowhere, our brewing company is like, we're just going to not brew beer for 2 months.
Right.
That's the bloodline to our entire business. So
like I said, it's like your grain distributors, like, hey, we're taking 2 months off.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, you can't. So yeah, that's a better representation. Just distribution is that how are we going to get them in the hands of people? And there's thousands of LCS, local comic book shops across the country, across the world, that literally could not get inventory in. And so one of the guys said was, every comic book shop has a dollar bin. Yep. Like there's comic books we're looking at right now that every single one of these books are $1. And so come in and buy 10 comic books. That's $10.
Yes.
The best thing also to do if you're trying to support your local comic book shop is don't always just buy new things. Like go back and look at back stock.
Absolutely.
Because every single comic book in this place, Paul has put his hard-earned money into. To anything you see in the shop that you're in here is not on consignment, if you think, or not like when I sell it, I'll pay for it. All of the stuff he owns. And so it's like when you come into a place and you just buy what's new, it's like, yeah, he did buy it, but it's like rotating that new stock is like, so
and I mean, I'm like obsessed with the old comics. It's just sitting here like talking. I'm like, ooh. So yeah, I even brought some monies in today. So when we get a break here, I can
I get 20% off, right? You're gonna roll that dice.
Do I get a discount if I use my Bitcoin?
I don't know, man.
I did on other products.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I sold my Bitcoin. I told you that. I'll get my keys out of the way here. But yeah, buying back stock, and that was one of the things I think. So during the pandemic, we got a hit. Local comic book shops got a hit, not only because they couldn't get people in the door,
right,
but not only because they couldn't even get comic books in. And so some of the changes that were made during this time was selling online. Paul's working with me right now and trying to figure out a way to do an online presence because you got to have an online presence. So, I mean, there's stores that I buy comic books from. I buy all my new comic books every day. Every Wednesday, I come into the shop and buy my new comic books from Paul. But there's books that he can't get. So I'm a big Scotty Young fan, which actually made the shirt for Free Comic Book Day today. And he did a comic book called Middle West.
Yep.
The book was released a while ago. You can't get, there's no back issues here. So Paul looks to order it, can't order it. At that point, what am I supposed to do?
Right.
I can go online and buy comic books from like thousands of comic book stores across this country on the internet, and they'll mail it to me.
Yes.
And so it's still supporting a local comic book shop because it's still not
right.
They're not like buying from Marvel Direct, for an example, but you're still supporting someone. And a lot of those are back issues they'd like to sell.
Exactly.
And so if you can do that too, it's great. But having an online presence would be awesome. But during this pandemic was just different ways people started becoming pull list customers. Like, I'll just buy whatever. Here's the books I want. Put them in my box. I'll come by and pay for them. Or I'll pay for them now when you get them. When I get them by, I'll pay for them. So Paul was able to survive being open basically almost a little under a year. And all of a sudden, I know where the door was locked and he had to be closed.
Yeah.
And it's like he was working another job, luckily. But if he wasn't working his other job, this place might not exist right now. And that's the sad part about the pandemic.
And that's that hard part we talked about a little bit with Josh, is like when you're building your thing, but you still are trying to balance that with your existing job. Mm-hmm. That's hard. It's exhausting.
And so I always say, and it's easy for us to say, that look at this. We got comments right here. Look at this. I didn't know they came in right here. This is awesome. I can block user. Scott, regular owner brewing company, was on 10 minutes ago. I don't know if he's watching right now, but he posted the April O'Neil and Mick Foley, what a winning combo. I think so too. And then it said that for this is the Bangor Comic Con, and then the Clark people being there is also massive too. So I'm excited for that. So thanks for swinging by, Paul, or Scott. Watching. We appreciate it.
Definitely.
But back to the local comic book shop thing was that like people didn't. It was like they cut them off at their knees. Not only could they not be open anymore, but they couldn't sell comic books anymore because they couldn't get any new comic books. And what drives people in to a comic book store is the new comic books. And hopefully you buy old issues as well. So if you need us to move out of the way at all, and if you want to buy anything you see here, just let me know. I'm just kidding. But yeah, so having that, not only is you're not allowed to sell comic books to a customer, they couldn't even buy comic books. But then it was like one of those things where like, could I order? Like, when are you going to start? They didn't know. And so it was tough for that during that pandemic. And so when we see this Free Comic Book Day here, Paul said at 9:30, they opened at 10. 9:30, there was a line.
That's awesome.
Of people just wanting to come get the free
that's
comic
that thing we've talked about. In other podcasts, but so much of these local businesses are about building the community around it. And you don't realize how important that is until you have to rely on your community to support you. Mm-hmm. And then you realize that it's really been them the whole time supporting you. And so I think a lot of businesses here that have cultivated that thing during the pandemic saw that. But I think that's really interesting coming out. A lot of small businesses have been like, oh man, you guys really have been like the backbone.
Yes.
And it's easy to lose sight of that. And it's not a criticism. It's you're busy. But it's fun to see people come out, like you said, and do what they can do. Because if you lose that, it's not just a business, right? You've lost a community space.
Yes.
Something we've talked about, you've lost a space where like I can go in and like be like, oh my God, did you read The Last Ronin?
Yes.
And everybody's not going to be like, shut up, dude. They're going to be like, oh my God, yes. And that's huge.
We forced that into our room coming to last night when we were.
Yes.
But it's like,
you will talk to us about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
But, and the person even said, I don't know about it. And we're still like, so you want to know about this?
Let me tell you. Yeah.
And so when we were setting this up and the table was getting ready out here and to talk is out front, you could hear them not arguing, but like having a discussion about something that you would be ostracized to argue about anywhere else.
No, they did not learn that power from so-and-so. They learned it from so-and-so.
And so having that ability to have a comic book shop. And I think the long run, Paul would love to have this shop be a place where it's a community place, right? Not just a community purchasing place, but a person like you could come in here and be like, sit down and have a conversation about comic books or superheroes or whatever. NFTs, just a place where you can feel comfortable talking about your nerd love,
right?
Without people
and anything around here. I imagine in this space, I mean, it doesn't even have to be comic books. It can be if it just touches on anything you love like that, you're good. Yeah, totally in.
And so so it was cool to have these places, and places like Bangor is not a huge population, but there is quote unquote 4 comic book shops in the area. Anybody that gets books distributed through Diamond is technically considered a comic book shop. So technically, Moose is a shop. I believe BAM.
I think so.
Might be, and then there's the one downtown, and then this one. Right. And so there's only. But if you think about actual LCS local comic book shops, there's only 2 in Bangor, and that's the one downtown and one here. And so it's not listening to a podcast. They were talking about this Chicago store that was able to open a second shop in Chicago. And it's like, there's no way Paul could just open a second shop tomorrow. It's like,
God, no.
But the part of it also is why places like Bull Moose don't sell a lot of comic books anymore, is because where they're located, I think. But by the mall, if you're who's just like, he has people walk in here on a Wednesday night of kids that like live in the local community. They're like, Mom, can I go to the comic book store? Sure. And they come up in and buy comic books or Pokemon cards or whatever, which you wouldn't get at the mall area. And so that's another thing. He actually is not only just a community, but he's part of the community because of where he is.
And then even part of even a more local community, like you said, because I mean, you and I both probably shared that. I mean, I have so many crystal clear memories of my early childhood. I mean, I was probably 10 or older, but like just sitting for hours, basically in the room we're in right now, flipping through old comic books. I mean, I was 10, so like I had like $3 in my pocket, but $3 I could buy like 6-8 comics, and I would do that for hours. Like,
and it's and that's the thing. It's cool. I mean, you could come in here, and the other thing about a comic book store, I feel like, is that you're not, the second you walk in here, no one's judging you. You're not judged by your looks. No, you're not judged by what you're wearing. You're not judged by your age. No, there's people in here that come in here that are 50, 60 years old. Sure. And there's people that come in here who, their parents have to bring them in here because they're so young. And you're not, so there's a judgment-free zone. Completely. And Paul will not judge you whether or not you buy anything. He wants you to have some place that you can come. It's cool. It's safe. It's fun. You can have a conversation like we talked about.
Because that's the community.
Yes. And so if you buy a comic book once, cool. Obviously he has to pay bills, keep the lights on, stuff like that. But like, it's not required for you to buy anything. So that's another thing, is you could just swing in here and be like, well, cool. You sit down and read a book.
Right.
Like taking one of these dollar bins and open up a dollar bin, a book, and read it, and he probably would not care.
I'm
speaking for him.
Remember so clear. My comic book shop that I went, it was Beach Coins and Collectibles in Virginia Beach. It was right across the street from my grandma's house. And like you said, like I rarely bought stuff. I mean, I was like 10. But what was beautiful is I'd spent so much time in there, like you said, going through the comics. When I did get money for a gift or for chores or allowance, like then I just went back and I was like, I wanted that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. Like, so yeah, it's fun.
And those are the cool things. And like I said, I am a 35-year-old male who comes in every Wednesday, and I am a Wednesday person. I am a person that I kind of start shaking if I can't come in on a Wednesday and have to come in on a Thursday. I know Paul and his team here, a couple of people who help him, they pull the books for me that I want, and I know they're probably going to be in there. Every once in a while, it's missing one. So if I don't come in on a Wednesday and I'm missing that comic book, it's going to make me freak out. So I'm a traditional Wednesday person. But if I didn't come in on a Wednesday, Paul would be like, "Yeah, hold your books.
I got your books
next week." So, and it's like he's still got to pay bills, and it's still he already obviously the bill for Diamond comes at the end of the month. He has to write a check. It's not like, and so, but he's got you can't see it obviously for here, but on the other side of the Joaquin Phoenix Joker poster here is an office, and in that office he's just got boxes of people who are pull lists. And it's like, I know people come in here and be like, oh, I've got 27 books in my pull list, but I can only buy 2 right now. Cool. Which ones do you want? cool. And he puts the rest of them in the box and he holds on to them.
Perfect,
So it's like, you know, at some point he does have to say to some people like, okay, your box is overflowing.
Yeah.
Maybe not inventory. I gotta sell that. But it's a cool, like I said, it's different. There's no way that I can go into, first of all, like Bull Moose doesn't have a pull list, so you can't like pull your comic books,
right?
And something like that. So you have to have these independently owned local people who's also got a passion for it. But Paul also knows that someone says you should sell video game systems and video games here, and Paul goes, I don't know anything about those.
Right.
So I would not build. I'd lose money on them.
Yep.
I'd buy a game for $40 thinking it was worth it, and then it would sell for $5. I'd buy a system for way over and it would be broken.
Right.
And he says,
saying you don't know how to fix it because it's not your thing.
Like, and so his is like, I know he knows comic books, he knows Pokemon cards, he knows a little bit of magic. He's working on that, and he knows toys. And so he's like, that's what I'm gonna sell.
That's it.
But you know, and that's the other thing about the difference between this store and a local store, or the other stores that are in downtown, is this is a comic book and collectible store.
Yes.
Whereas the other place in downtown Bangor is a comic book only store.
And that's why I guess that's
comics and coins.
Right.
Honestly,
that's why I was pointing out just like that kind of like we say comics, but like that whole comics collectible crowd is pretty inclusive.
Yeah.
So
exactly. This is pretty cool. I gotta set it up better next time to make it so that it actually shows the comment
super cool
on here. We're learning.
Look,
there's Paul right there.
There's Paul.
Hey,
what are you doing?
He should sit down and talk to you for a second.
I know at some point.
I can do that. Give me 1 second.
No, you don't rush. You don't have to
We're
rush.
just giving you a hard time.
We're
looking for things to talk about.
You're back here just like trying to carry on about nothing?
Yeah, are you giving that person half off those?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I want to make sure. Okay, I want to make sure you're doing that correctly. Yep. I was just I was giving the telling people that you're cool if someone comes in here and doesn't buy anything, right?
Yes, I am.
Well, I'm just saying, like it's a community place. It's a place for people to come in, and eventually someone will buy something. But just Quinn.
We were joking about like my clear memory as a kid, like sitting in it was Beach Coins, Comics and Collectibles for hours, and then I wouldn't buy anything. But then I get a $20 allowance, boy, and I was like in,
right there.
like you know.
Money in hand.
So let's see here. He's got customers out there. We're trying to steal them from the podcast or a live stream. It's actually going to be a podcast after I edit it too. It will come out on Monday. If anybody is missing the live stream here, but we're learning these different things about this thing. Actually, not that bad. I thought it was going to get very hot, but I don't know. It's pretty cool. I like this. Let's write a comment. Let's write a comment.
Super cool. That's what I'm watching you now, thinking like, what else could we do?
All right, where am I sitting?
You are sitting right here, and I'm going to stretch my legs for a second.
Okay.
Feel free to use the mic. It's a lot, but if you want to use the iPad,
all right.
Look at that.
Hey.
What do you got there?
What do I get there? So,
whoa.
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 So I was showing a little bit. We do a little more than the, selling part. We also do the buying part. So today's finds, if you can see that, we got Infinity Gauntlet #1,
9
in the CGC, 9-0, and then Secret Wars #8, the first appearance of the black suit that eventually, of course, becomes the Venom symbiote.
That's what I see right here.
$5.
$14.99.
$14.99. Yes.
A piece.
There's an extra one on that. Damn, man, this is
It's awesome. It's awesome.
It's a 9 too. You know what I love looking at the books like this, dude, is looking at the fact that they're like seeing them and knowing for myself, like I'm not a grader.
Right.
Like, you can give your best guesstimate, but like this knowing that, like looking at that corner and going, I probably do have a 9 or something like that. Like, or mine's better than this. I'm like, I might actually have a better
I have
than
a 9 too,
yeah,
or 9.4.
so,
yeah, when you're looking at one previously going, maybe it's not as good, maybe it's not worth grading, but then you say, oh, okay.
And you can, whenever you need to get up and go, I don't care.
I left Logan out front, so if we start smelling smoke, I'll run.
Yeah, well, so you left, and then somebody asked me a question. I was like, I think I know the answer. So the Spawn drawing is free.
Yes.
And then you have you also have a gift card drawing.
With gift card drawing and free
tickets to
Comic and Toy Con.
And we did talk about Bangor Comic and Toy Con. Will was supposed to stop by, but he was unavailable, so he couldn't come in.
Yeah, it's gotten a little hectic. It sounds like in BCTC world.
So
right
I don't know.
And for both parts, for Will and for Jay, both are
Jay
busy at the moment.
Why is Jay busy?
I don't. They did something weird, like had a small human or something, tiny human show up.
The last one, right?
The last of the tiny humans. So they say.
Well, they say, but then it would be the last Ronin.
It is the last Ronin. That was my thought too. I'm like, all right, last Ronin is here.
But they so you today, what's going on today? Like, other than like, obviously we talked a little bit about it's free comic book day and stuff like that, but yeah, absolutely.
Come on back, please.
Yeah,
that's the point of our podcast is to
it's live.
It's live. It's fun. It's for
fun.
Come in and join in.
You're not on camera, so you don't have to worry about it.
feel bad for people that
Yeah.
see me right now.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. Right over here's the free comic books. Take a look at them.
Yeah, help yourselves.
Yeah.
Free comics right over in the corner.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the whole point. Is just to be here and in the way.
Yeah, that's our goal. Yeah.
But what's the deals today? So yeah, the 3 drawings we just mentioned.
The 3 free drawings plus any kids that come in today in cosplay, they also can be entered for a $5 gift card.
Okay.
So we have that drawing as well. We're doing our OBC beer tasting later this afternoon.
Yes.
We've got a roll in the Dice Tower. We've got Dice Towers now being provided for the store. They are exclusives done by High Ground Armory.
Okay.
So shout out to Jared. Thank you, Jared. So High Ground Armory provides our Dice Towers. We're going to start having some Galactic Comics exclusive ones. But you roll a 20-sided die, and you can save up to 20% off. It is almost everything in the store. CGCs are the only thing excluded.
Yeah.
Sorry. However, everything else. So, like our first customer actually of the day rolled a 20, and he had like an armload of Funko Pops and a bunch of comics, and he was stoked. He's like, "Man, this is great."
So 20% off free comics too.
Yeah, yes, and 20% off, additional 20% off your free comic book. Justin will be in charge of doing the math.
Yeah, math. No. Yeah. Adam still thinks that I'm going to use a fake 20-sided die. It's always just has a bunch of 20s.
It's just surrounded by
20s. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can see that. Yeah.
I have to use your supplied dies.
2-sided coin there that wants to flip for heads.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's awesome because 20-sided die, 20% off. Right here.
Oh, it's right here. Here. Go forth with it, Logan. I came to show it off.
Yeah. I'll give you $3.
If you want to keep adding to that, we can talk more.
So that's cool. I love the idea.
$3 might cover the original cover price.
What you're doing on all these different things that are happening right now is really cool. It's something that like we're a local comic book shop. You're a local comic book shop in Bangor that's not like in a big city.
Right.
So you can only do so much where there's not like you can't be like, oh, so and so artist is going to come by and do a signing. It's like it's just not feasible.
Yeah.
And so having these other things that are going along with it and not something that's just a normal sale that you're normally having just promoting.
Something additional and extra and trying to make it fun, and make it interactive a little bit, and we're doing things. There's my wife and I had talks for months about other things that we want to bring and kind of we're going to start building up, maybe next year's Free Comic Book Day, we're going to add this or we're going to add that. And then if we can start talking into, down the road, growing into a larger location, the more things that we can do with that extra space.
And you could also do like as a free comic book weekend in a sense too. You'd end up doing things on Friday night and Sunday.
And Saturday. Yeah, absolutely.
But they're obviously not open on Sunday right now. But like I said, that weekend could be cool.
Yeah, it could be an extra.
And you're open till?
We're open today till 6.
6 tonight.
Free comics while supplies last. We had our first 10 customers through the door. Got a special gift bag. We are out. We had people in line. In fact, I came past this morning at 8:30. I went to go grab breakfast. And I'm like, I'll just swing past the store for the fun of it. And there were people standing outside waving. And I'm like, oh, God.
You're like, I'll be there at 9:59.
Yeah, I'm coming. Yeah, bear with me.
I mean, it is different. It is different because on Wednesdays, there are times where I'm in here and you're here at 4:59 because of your other job.
Yes.
But now that's not for much longer. A couple more weeks and we're done with that full time here at Galactic Comics. So 547 Hammond Street, Bangor. If you have any questions that aren't being answered or you don't want to know something, just message you because you have your Facebook.
Oh, absolutely.
Open.
Message on Facebook. You can give us a call, 659-1161. During our open hours, you can leave a message. We try to be prompting getting back to people. And
to not to deter people from coming, there is not a lot. Like, there's not like as over. You have obviously less than you did when you opened, but there is quite a few free comic books left. So if you're thinking, oh, I missed it because there was a line, no, there's plenty of it. And we read off a bunch of them on here too, and even the ones I mentioned like House of Slaughter, that's still there. Some of the Marvel ones are still there, so there's definitely plenty of other ones. And it looks like you also added some ones that are just I threw in
some extras. So we have like the Death of Superman, we have X-Men #1 with Jim Lee. There was a huge selection of the different variant covers I had from the X-Men #1s. When we first opened, I had purchased out an antique shop, and they actually had giant bundles of sealed X-Men #1s that had never been opened. So when I was first doing online sales to grow, I kept every sale had an X-Men #1, all covers like thrown in there and like opening bids $1. And it was funny because people would start bidding on them like crazy. And I'm like, I have like hundreds of these.
Yeah, exactly.
But this is it. We're down to the last few that I put on the table today. So you can
come grab those too as well. Yeah. That's
awesome. Who doesn't love some Jim Lee art for X-Men?
No, yeah, absolutely. You can't read that. We're our favorite artists. We've done that. There's a previous podcast on that. But yeah, thanks, Paul.
Yeah,
we'll probably stop it again. But
yeah, I'll pop back in and out. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. That was Paul Eaton. He's the proprietor. We talked about that on the other podcast. Is that he's the proprietor of the comic book shop, not just the owner, right? You got to use the high end. Yeah. I mean, we have and so Adam's back now, And so Galactic Comics is open till 6 p.m. tonight. We're here chatting away. And when I posted the comment too, I posted it on all 3 streaming things: the Capes and Tights, the Main Seat of Mine, and the YouTube.
Hell yeah,
this is badass. Oh, I can do individual ones.
Me just like slowly walk away after they pulled out the Secret Wars comic, and I was like, do I have any crypto I can sell right now? That's what I was out in the lobby.
Well, it's like freaking beautiful too. It's a 9.6. Oh my god! And but I was just saying, it was a cool thing about Great. So that's actually a comic book conversation I want to actually have, and I think I have it on our schedules for later date Capes and Tights podcast, which is I hate to use the word raw, but raw or ungraded books, unslabbed books versus slabbed books. Like what's the benefit of each? Yep. And I honestly, the first one I'll ever own, I've actually paid for it already, is I sent out on my arm here. It's kind of hard to see if we're on the live stream here. I'm trying to figure out where the camera is. I have a Nova drawn by Scotty Young that's tattooed by Jay Cochran, but I had the Nova #1 book that this was on. That's by Scotty Young, sent out to CGC because Scotty Young's gonna be in house and he'll be signing it, and then they'll slab it, and it's makes it obviously worth more. And that was my first ever comic book that's encased in the plastic.
That's a first appearance of Nova.
It's just his variant cover.
Gotcha.
And so it's cool because my son's name is Nova, and I wanted the whole thing. I wanted his room. I'll never want to sell it or anything like that. But it's now I know guaranteed forever. It's the authenticity of the signature and the quality of the comic book is going to be great. And he can't open it. He can chew on the side if he wanted to.
Exactly. Well, I'm always joking with Justin because like, one of the last times I was over at his studio and we were doing the podcast, I'm like, I thought you had a bunch of comic books. And like, he shows me the thing. And I was like, oh, and it always cracks me up because like, I'm going through my old comic books a couple weeks ago and I'm back in Illinois. And I was like, ooh, a Nova foil cover. I'll give that to Justin. Nope, he has it. And I was like, oh, here's nope, he has it.
Well, what we determined. So it was funny because people laugh because they don't think it's true. When we named my son Nova, it was because we liked the name Nova and we found it on the internet and so on. It was literally like a week later where it just like a light bulb went off. Like my whole face like lit up until I was like, what the hell? And I'm like, I forgot for a hot second there. There's actually a superhero Marvel film.
How did you forget that?
I don't know. I was thinking it was just focused on the love and the care and that
having a child.
But that's the thing is like I was obviously happy about it. It was after we had him or after we were pregnant. And so I was just like, and it was funny because maybe just in the love and the caught up in that, I was just not thinking about it. And so it's the truth is it wasn't like that. But the second I realized it, I freaking went buck wild.
You heard it here live, folks. Justin prioritizes his child above comic books.
Yes. Well, yeah. See,
I do not prioritize my child above comic books.
And that's why you haven't had any.
Yes.
But it was funny. So once I did that, I went buck wild and bought all of the comic books that had Nova on it to the point now where I'm like, is Nova on the cover? It's not even a comic book. Like there's a book I bought offline the other day. It's Spider-Man featuring Nova, and Nova's like in the corner, and I'm like, own it.
I'm gonna have to like deep dive to find some old Nova collectibles that you don't have. It would be like Nova flip flops from 1992 or something.
But so that's out to CGC to get slabbed, and I'll own a first slab thing. But I'm always a person who just likes the rawness of it. That I want to. I'm not gonna open and likely not gonna pull out of a bag and a board a comic book, but I want to be able to.
Sure.
And the second it's slabbed, it's like it's done, and it's like Paul and I were talking the other day about how like sometimes when you put like something into a encasing like that, you might actually take less care of it. If that makes it may be worth less. It's not worth financially less to you, but it's worth less to your mind because you can just. When I go look through slabbed comic books up there, you go here. You're like pulling up comic books. Yes. If someone has a raw comic book like this, you're like holding it and you're grabbing it. You're grabbing it. And you're like, okay, yeah, mm-hmm. But if it's in a case when he's pulling them over here, I'm just like looking at it and like,
absolutely.
And so I don't own a lot of them because of that. But what I did see is on that book I was explaining was the fact that the corner of that one of those things is a little rubbed off on the Infinity Gauntlet. I have one. I have the exact same comic book, not slabbed, that actually might go to CGC and come back as a 9. Yeah. And to me, I'm like, oh, maybe I will do that now because like to me, my comic books are all worth a lot less. So if I see somebody actually get encased, that I might actually do.
That's, I mean, so many people like me, even when I was younger and collecting comics, listening, like you said, it's like I'd bag them, board them, throw them in a box and like, oh, they're fine, you know, and like 10 years later, just sitting there, they're not fine.
No.
And I mean, now, of course, you can get much better archival quality storage, and I've moved a lot of mine to that. But like you said, at the time when I was a kid, I was like, once it's bagged and boarded and in a box, it's good forever.
Yep.
And that's not true.
No, it's because we've seen them. We've seen ones come in and you untape the thing and the plastic just brittle, like rips. It's tan because someone smoked in their basement with it or something. And the best thing about these CGC slabbed comic books is that they will be they're guaranteed basically sunlight, UV protection, water protection, stuff like that. Obviously, if you drop it and break it,
and like you said, I mean, if you have
perfect,
like, but Spider-Man Secret Wars, like the you showed us. I mean, you're probably not going to take that out and play with it. Like you're probably going to get a digital version to read it. So like that's where you're like, that's where I'd want it. But I'm like you, man. Sometimes I just want to I don't even want to worry like you about the careful reading. Like I want to sit back on the sofa and like read my comic book.
Yes. And there's ones, and that's why a lot of times, like the last Ronin we talked about at Orna Brewing Company yesterday about how I love the last Ronin. It's been a great series and all that stuff. I have purchased every time they come out.
Yep.
Every issue I have purchased 2.
Yes.
One that I can read, and one that just gets encased in that plastic because it's a 5-part series. It's gone mega buck wild. So I want to be able to have it, and I want to have a quality one that I can say I can send to CGC and get back as 9.6, 9.8, and be like, this is good.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Whereas the other ones, there's other comic books that I buy that the second they move, like when he has them here, he'll have them here for a year probably ish until he runs out of room. And at some point, those books that are for sale for cover price will move over to these dollar bins.
Of course.
So there's 90% of the comic books that I own are worth $1 or less because I have to sell them to him for 50 cents or 25 cents so he can make money on them.
Of course.
And so to me, it's like, what's the point at that point? At that point, it's just reading. And so that's one of those things that Taylor and I've talked about. It's like there's certain comic books that I bought, the Nova ones, that are 100% Nova's comic books. Like when he wants to read them, he'll open them up. If he rips a page out, if he wants to cut them up and do whatever he wants with them, they're not worth anything.
Exactly.
But there are certain ones that are my books.
Are an investment.
They're my books because my son's name is Nova.
Yes.
And that's a different thing. And so there's like, and so I do have 2 copies of that Nova #1. That's one of them is gonna be signed and slab, the other one's just there. And I said the sign and slab one is the one that's mine. It's always gonna be there. The one that's not like that he can have and read and do whatever he wants to, put on a shelf, he can bag and board it. But I wanted to start his collection early, and it's kind of cool. What's gonna end up happening is he's gonna fucking hate Nova. He's gonna absolutely hate the fact that his name is Nova compared to the fact that it's a superhero.
Call himself Batman.
But what I'm hoping for is that he's gonna be a DC fan. I'm gonna hate it.
Calling myself the Flash, Dad.
Hopefully Marvel waits long enough to make a Nova movie so that he's old enough to recognize it and go see it and they go opening night and all that stuff. I think that would
make a big deal out of building up to it.
Yes, absolutely. So this is crazy. We've been going for about an hour now live at Galactic Comics in Bangor. If you're just tuning in to watch, it's been fun so far. We just Paul jumped on to talk about the shop. We're free comic book day. More people are coming in as we go. Come on in, take a look. Free comic books over there in the corner. And we're just having fun. So yeah, I don't know. I think in a couple minutes here, we might take a break and put the timer on.
You just want to try the timer, man.
I want to. I have all kinds of things. I don't know how it works. Like I don't know if I do this thing, does it go on? I guess if I put play, do I pull myself away?
But then does it like keep?
It does keep recording because it does it. We can do this. Watch, ready? Bam! Look at that. I can just do that too. But I did this all kinds of things at school. I can do. I can say, oh, let's just do a quick thing right here while we're in the middle here. So obviously you're following us, you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube, but you can also go to the mainstateofmind.com. You can go to follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, rate and review. It'd be awesome. As well as you can find us on Facebook, Instagram for Main State of Mind. And then now we're also co-releasing these for the next couple of weeks because of releasing the new podcast that, again, someone coming up to me at work and was like, another podcast? And I'm like, no, it's not technically another podcast. It is, but it isn't.
Right.
We're replacing half of the episodes in the future with comic book related podcasts with this new Capes and Tights podcast, which is at Capes and Tights podcast on social media, Facebook and Instagram. And you can find that podcast now on Apple and Spotify, as well as at capesandtights.com. For those two. So
definitely comment. We've talked about this partially. That's my we're I guess still trying to figure out if anybody wants to comment on it. We were thinking like we want to do a Slack or a Discord. I think that would be fun to really kind of parse out what people want to talk about and do it asynchronously. And it's Discord's kind of the rage right now, and that's what I know, but I really am not a big fan of Discord. So if you want to comment, I think Slack could be fun. But
Slack is fun too, and I know that like my buddies over at the Friends from Work podcast, they use a Slack channel too.
I much prefer Slack.
It's one of those things. And honestly, for us, we have one for this that you can just create private. We can just have everything else is private and create public groups, and it's all in the same place. But I think that's something that could be really cool on the comic book related side.
Exactly.
Start the arguments, start the discussions. DC, but we could have a channel. It's DC versus Marvel. Like talk about it. Big two versus everything else, and all those things. So one of those things I wanted to pull back into about the big three and all that stuff was there was a bunch of things, or the pandemic and that Diamond stopped distributing a little bit, is that there was one thing that a bunch of things that I have a problem with, which was Marvel and DC at the time were all distributed by Diamond. DC is now distributed by a different company,
Gotcha.
and then Marvel will be switching to Random House Publishing in the fall. So they're still with Diamond, but there's a few more orders before it goes up. Image is also distributed by Diamond. And during the pandemic, or the very big part of the pandemic, they said we were going to offer returnability, which is something that hasn't happened in the comic book industry in years. Basically saying, buy $10,000 of the product, sell $5,000. You don't sell the other $5,000, send it back. We'll give you credit back. Yeah. And so that was one thing that Image came out and was like, we're going to do this for people and make sure that people can get operate. And which is something that DC and Marvel didn't do. So my big two is Marvel and Image. Yep. And then IDW and Boom are behind there, and Scout Comics now too, with Joseph Schmalke and those guys from Southern Maine as well as artists on there. But like that was one of the cool things about Image is that was one of those the returnability thing is so funny. It was a huge thing, and that's why honestly why some of these we talked about on the NFT podcast about how would something go up in value. Right. Is that there used to be one of those things that if they didn't sell. I'm going to use House of Slaughter, but they didn't sell this book and they were done with it. They ripped the cover off, put it in an envelope, mailed it back to the publisher and said, I didn't sell these. They'd credit them back for them. And now the publisher would have a bunch of covers and the comic book shop would have a bunch of books to just throw away. Yep. And so immediately, if the comic book didn't sell well, not only did the comic book not sell well, so that went up in value, is that the actual issues in the market went down because they threw them all away. Yes. And so there was this whole thing about like if they printed 10,000 copies, but only sold 4,000, then there was only 4,000 copies in circulation. There's not like here where it went into backstock. Exactly. Because they sold it and eventually would sell. Yeah, they literally deleted them off the market.
You just mentioned the NFT, and that's the exact same thing you see with these collections where like they wait after release, and then the bottom level stuff that just there isn't a lot of interest, they burn it. Yes. And that brings everybody else's value up. Some of them now do some weird, like they'll turn it into a variant. Yeah. So like, you still might not buy it again, then they'll burn it. Yeah. But
that's the thing. It's now, so when Image was able to do that and say, hey, we're willing to do that, they were awesome. But they ended up distributing. Diamond ended up closing for a couple months, and it didn't end up happening the way it was supposed to happen. But I think that's one of those things too. And I don't blame it. It's like you can't blame a distributor for saying you can't return a product, because I mean, when Target buys things to their shelves and stuff like that, they're not guaranteed that they can send that back to the public. They buy it, they own it, it's there. So I understand that, but they also put a lot of the responsibility onto the local comic book shop to actually sell these products that they're guaranteed. They don't know if it's gonna be a proven product or not.
Right. I mean, you can see that's a thing though, that kind of being in touch with the local and like, Image saying that like, dude, these shops can't make it right now with the standard way of doing things. Yes. So it's good to see somebody trying.
Yes, absolutely. So we're at 547 Hammond Street in Bangor, Maine at Galactic Comics, doing a live stream podcast on the Maine State of Mind on Capes and Tights. This is Adam, co-host Justin, and we're going to take a quick break here so we can stretch our legs, and we'll come back. Wow, we're back.
We are back.
That was too quick of a 5-minute break. It was actually longer too, because it said 0 for a few seconds there. Paul up front got a bunch of new comic books into. And obviously, that 5 minutes, I put 2 in my box,
of course,
to buy. So within 5 minutes of taking a break, I was able to purchase something. I purchased it yet. I didn't even purchase it yet. I'll probably leave without even purchasing it. I'll buy it Wednesday.
I walked outside because I'm afraid of purchasing, because I keep saying things. So
you got to text from his wife and said, on your breaks, you're stepping outside, right? You're not buying anything.
You're not looking at $300 comic books, maybe.
What I got to do is start putting comic books that I want in the dollar bin, and then telling Paul, giving him a flat rate for the whole box.
Yes.
Like, I'll give you $20 for that box and have like a $40 comic book in it. And so that I'm like, haha.
And then you can have the rest back.
Yes, free.
For free. It's a great deal.
Donation. I made a mistake. I don't want to get my money back, but you can keep it. Sorry. So 547 Hammond Street, Bangor, Maine, Galactic Comics, right across from the Growing Place, down the street from the corner store. And Angelo's is the other way, which actually makes me think that at 2:00 I want Angelo's.
I do love some Angelo's.
And at 3:00 here Eastern at 547 Hammond Street, the exact same table. So from 2 to 3, I'll be taking this crap down and setting up for a Orono Brewing Company beer tasting.
By crap, he means very high-tech equipment.
It's not crap. It is.
That's why I corrected you. You're self-deprecating.
But maybe we can go live. I'm going to leave the camera up. We'll go live for the beer tasting, and just me sitting here behind the table pouring beer into a glass and giving it to someone. You don't see anybody else. You just see me.
You're in a good case for a GoPro here.
So you can actually attach
podcast over. No, clip it right to the brim of your flat hat and go all day.
Go all day with
Turn it off and you go in the bathroom.
I'll just change my hats, right?
Or don't.
At 3:30, at 3:00, just go like this.
Yeah.
Okay. Literally, my hat changing. Isn't that the whole statement? Like changing hats. And we'll be doing beer tasting here. I've got Friends of Acadia IPA. I've got Chickadee and Finch double IPA with me. I've got some Where Life Should Be, I believe, classic stout. No tubular.
No.
Didn't bring any tubular because let's be honestly, you can go to downtown Bangor today and visit Caitlin and get tubular. That's just the way I thought. I thought it's a great beer. I love it. It's just beer. I just think that when you do a beer tasting, it's like
it's tubular. It's like becoming the beer of Maine, so you'll find it just about everywhere. So,
plus, it was in the big reefer truck outside at OBC in Orono, and there was none left inside. There was 1 4-pack. I wasn't going to take it, and I didn't want to go get it. So probably most of it's just laziness.
And just remember, if you do, you still got to be over 21.
Yeah. So
and it sounds fun, like comic books. Now I can drink when I'm 12. It's not true.
No, it's not true. Well, I said to him, what you got to start doing is 20. So there's 21 plus for the beer tasting, and I will be IDing. That's obviously Maine state law. It's national law, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so we'll have be IDing, but I was like, I don't want to say it's 21 plus for the event because you can still come back and being here. You just can't try anything. And so what I was trying to say is like, you should have been like everything that's for kids should have been 20 and under, not just like kids.
Ooh, yeah.
So if someone came in the door and was like 19 and we wore a costume and they want to enter the raffle for the drawing, they should have been able to do it because they can't participate in the 21 plus thing.
No.
I also want to do at some point down here, it'd be kind of fun, is the Galactic Comics After Dark and just like close the place and it's 21 plus.
Yeah.
You can come in,
party.
We sit up there and say, $5 donations. You get a couple of beers and you can hang out and just walk around, look at the comic books, like a 21 plus, like maybe during Christmas time where it's like you're buying presents for your kids. Maybe you come out, you can get a babysitter, come here, have a drink,
night. Hell yeah, that would be
buy some comic books, buy some toys. Maybe you get to, if he has to order something, get it in or whatever it may be, get some ideas for something, and do it he's going to be closing at 7 in September.
Great. And like, December. We'll do something, if you don't drink, we'll do something fun, have some NA beers.
NA beers here or CBD drinks or
CBD drinks,
other stuff like that too, or just soda. Fun. But just the idea that you can come in here later on at night with the babysitter and make it an event too, and do that kind of cool thing too, which would be awesome. So the fun things to do that we're putting into Paul's lap.
Yes.
He has no idea.
Today, though, seriously, there's getting ready to be free beer and free comic books.
That's what I say. So the ad of the poster I put up, I was like, it's like, well, how could we?
If you're not here, I'm starting to doubt.
So obviously, if you're joining a little late in watching this or whatever, we're at Free Comic Book Day, 547 Hammond Street in Bangor, Maine at Galactic Comics. I'll just highlight a couple more of these comic books. The big one I'm looking forward to today is Something's Killing the Children's Entered the House of Slaughter. That's a Boom comic book. That's a pretty cool one. This one's pretty badass. This is Spider-Man and Venom by Marvel, obviously. Obviously, people might not know it's Marvel. That has a 0.00. I love how they actually put the thing on. It's not like free. It says 000.
It's verified. It's free.
We have Earth's Mightiest Heroes, The Avengers, free comic book from Marvel. And then High Republic, Star Wars by IDW, The Boys, and then I want to go a couple other ones just so I don't not do the DC ones. We got Batman and Robin and Howard. You got a Batman. That one's pretty cool.
That is really cool.
I will say that's cool. Batman symbol in there on the I Am Batman. Sonic the Hedgehog, an Archie comic book. I cannot believe that they're still making. It's the 80th year of Archie.
And then when we were talking yesterday, Archie was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic book when the cartoon company when it first came out, and I forget where it moved to, but I always remember as a kid being like, Archie comics, like that weirded me out that they were doing my favorite
exactly
Turtles,
as comic books as Archie. Archie's cool because they've actually done. I want to say they've done cool crossovers with Archie too, where he's been in other universes and so on and stuff like that. It's funny, we've been here podcasting. Taylor texted me basically when we were getting ready to podcast that she was on her way to her mom's area.
Sure.
And she just arrived. I guess text message on this that she arrived. So thanks you. She arrived safely.
Perfect.
She's not watching.
Lame.
And he's not watching either, so it's fine.
Yeah, she's not.
No, it's fine. None of our wives care.
No, I could have. My mother-in-law would have watched it.
But so Paul's wife's like, we talked about it with the comic books last week. When Wednesday's episode came out, was my favorite comic book writers. And Paul's like, at the very end, the very last line on the podcast is, and one of these days, I get my wife to listen to this.
Yeah.
And I was like, yep.
I am 110% sure that the reason Annie encourages me to do this podcast is so that I talk to you about this stuff and not her.
Yeah, get it all out. But then I get excited about it and want to talk about it with someone else, and then Taylor still gets it. So
welcome to my hell, which is then I go home and I'm more excited and I'm like, guess what we talked about? And then it's like, but that's still comic books.
Yes.
And no, it's the podcast.
Yes, it's different. I'm talking about the podcast that talked about comic books. Look at that. We got Spider Gwen. Man. How are you? Good.
Absolutely.
Come on over.
You can even sit right where I am
and say hi.
Official.
Take a seat. Introduce yourself. What's your name?
I'm Charlotte.
Charlotte?
Yeah.
And who are you? Who are you?
I'm
Paul's
daughter.
Daughter, really? What do you have on? Your Venom shirt and a cape?
It's Harry Potter.
Harry Potter in a Venom shirt. Oh, yeah, there you go.
It's my Weasley one.
Oh, wow. Can I see it? Oh, wow. That's legit.
Yeah, my friend got it from me.
There you go. And we got Spider-Gwen over there.
Super cool Spider-Man.
You want to come say hi? Can she get on the camera there? Do you want to sit down? What's your name?
Emma.
Emma? Who are you today?
Spider-Gwen.
Spider-Gwen? I'm jealous. I like Spider-Gwen a lot. So Spider-Gwen's my favorite characters. Yeah? This is a look at that spandex suit. Well, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Go save the world, will you? Thank you. So if you come to the comic book store today and you are dressed up in a cosplay outfit as a child, you get to enter for a drawing for a prize as well. My question is, do you get to enter the drawing too, Charlotte? You don't? That's not fair. Can I enter drawing for you?
With his name.
I'll be like,
Charlotte, he's just trying to win that spawn.
I want that thing. So I'll get you to win something else if you get me to win that. We'll work on your dad.
I can't go to
Okay.
We're just joking. Bye.
Go give your dad a hard time. Oh, look at that. And then guess what? You know what? I didn't forget, but I'm just being reminded of my phone. So we're going to say on this podcast, she's definitely not watching just because she doesn't give a crap about comic book anyway, but happy birthday to Heather Firth of Warner Brewing Company because it's her birthday. So
saw that pop up today.
What are you looking for?
50-cent bin. I stuck it somewhere when we were trying to move stuff around.
You have a 50-cent bin?
Yeah. Oh, it's behind you guys. The things on top of it.
Oh, dang.
Here, give that to Justin.
Yeah.
Just take it back there.
We find it not fair that your daughter can't win the prize.
Really?
He tried to work a thing where he could enter his name in lieu of her.
I was like, if you can get me to win that, I was like, if you can get me to win that, I'll get you to win something.
I want the spawn too, though. Well, you know what? You probably could get her in on because she wants an OBC shirt.
See,
So if you could probably get.
I brought some shirts. I don't know what sizes I have, but I brought some shirts. Yeah, Someone come back here in a Spider-Gwen outfit. You know, it's winning me over already.
Yeah. Spider-Gwen instantly.
I just saw Gwenum for the first time out there.
It's fun.
It looked awesome.
I think Paul and I have talked about it when our favorite female character was.
I'm probably gonna buy it.
There's something weird about the Spider-Gwen, and I don't know if it's the costume. I don't know if it's the writing originally. I don't know if it's the alternate universe. The idea that I like the idea of it. We talked about What If yesterday too, which we'll actually talk more about at some point. Is that the what if this happens, and the Spider-Gwen thing was what if Gwen Stacy became Spider-Man, and then people were like, that's so awesome. Cool. Let's actually do this, and now it's actually a character. Yep. And she actually goes by Ghost Spider now, which is not actually Spider-Gwen, which makes a little bit more sense because it's not like Spider Peer.
Although that's pretty fantastic.
Actually, now I feel like we should do that.
I'm pretty sure we should.
I want to write a comic book now for Marvel called Spider Peter.
With the speeder tingle.
Yeah, that's it. His powers are listed that way. Yeah. It's Peter Webb's. Peter Tingle, Spider Peter. Oh no! Now I actually see. Oh no! Oh, I can see her
identity
face.
Revealed.
I can. Oh no! Nope. She got to put her face mask back on. Oh, there you go. I knew her identity because she came back here with her face up. I was. That's not good. No, she jumped on for a second. Yeah, they said she won me over. I'm a big Spider-Gwen fan, so we actually had. So Taylor was supposed to wear that. Not that one, a little bit bigger than that one. She was supposed to wear that for Halloween a couple years ago, and we ended up not because I was supposed to wear the Spider-Man costume.
Spider Peter.
And I realized, and I bought a cup too because I was just like, I need. Oh yeah. I was like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it correctly, and that was the way I was gonna do it. I'm like, I don't want to do this, but we ended up like putting them on at home and being like, yeah, this is something we wear around the house if we want to like take a pictures or something like that. But I'm not.
You just walk around wearing your Spider-Man costume at home.
That's what I wear for pajamas when I go home and when we go to bed.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That's okay. I have a Batman one, so.
And I like this as a crossover Harry Potter Venom thing that's going on, pretty cool too. But have you?
Yeah,
that was not an expected crossover, but
would that be Ravenclaw or Hufflepuff?
Oh man,
so
Raven.
Where does Venom fall in?
With Raven, you get Ravenclaw, Raven. Oh. That makes sense. Raven, Venom.
The crossover you never knew you wanted.
Yes, correct.
Harry Potter, Marvel.
You're a kitty. So you're a kitty Venom Harry Potter.
free comic book day.
Yes.
What is happening right now? I have customers messaging me galore. All the ones that are out of town that can't make it. They're like, "Hey, is there anything left?"
Well, I'm glad they're doing it now and not like early this morning. Like, I can't make it, but I want to be the person that's first in line, so I get one of those bags, right? And it's like, no, you have to be here. Sorry, the whole idea is to get you here. And Adam and I were talking about, we took a 5-minute break, and I basically bought something. I didn't actually buy it yet, but like 5 minutes of me in the store, and I'm buying something off the shelf into the room. But so I think this Spawn thing is, I want to grab it actually. I want to show it off.
I'll make sure he puts it back.
Making up a bundle because
cool.
Work today.
So it comes with a slipcase thing too, but I'm not gonna grab that either. But it comes in this badass box.
Super cool. Oh, perfect.
Here, there's a little Spawn, like what's that called? A spot gloss?
I don't know.
No, spot gloss.
I don't know the lingo like you do, Justin.
Oh, there's actually a this goes like this next time. Don't worry, Paul. I'm just showing it off. I'm not actually
watching him
backing it up.
Yeah, keep an eye on him, Adam.
And then just pull this little thing up.
If I'm out here and Logan's out here, that means no one is running the front. And Charlotte's out here. We currently have absolutely no one.
Did your wife leave too? Did your wife leave too, or?
Liz doesn't actually work in the store.
So it's Spawn Flying Cape has swing open action, which I'd never know because if I won this thing, I'd be in this box forever probably. But this is a posable action figure from the record-breaking comic book. It was released, I believe, as a special thing saying after the 300th comic book came out, and it's got a gun. It's actually got the Al Simon's head you can swap out from the Spawn head.
It's gonna look great on my shelf in my office.
What's gonna end up happening is you're gonna end up winning it. I know it.
I'm gonna send you pictures of it every day, posed in different places in my room. That'd be weird.
Yeah, but this is excellent.
It's super cool. Though.
It's really cool. It's free. That could literally cost you nothing. You can come in here, grab 3 free comic books, enter the drawing, and leave, and be happy.
And free beer if you're over 21.
Buy it something, but like this is worth.
I was say, how about parents come down, have a free sample of beer, let your kids get a free comic book.
Oh, it's cool too.
Oh yeah, the certificate of authenticity. That's super cool. Authenticated by Todd McFarlane.
Yeah.
So funny when Todd McFarlane started really doing a lot of like streaming of him drawing digitally, and I was so obsessed with that for a while. I would just sit like for hours and watch him like draw on the live stream. I mean, first of all, I love messing with like digital just drawing, and I'm terrible at it. So I'm already impressed that he's so good at it.
Yes.
Like I do a line and I'm like, that's not at all the
nope.
Now, granted, he probably has like 80,000 times better equipment than I do and talent. And that's the problem.
Yes, exactly.
Basically.
Well, I loved it because I love seeing it's crazy because you know how anybody who's a Todd McFarlane fan and Spawn fan, he's a lot of dashes.
Yes.
Like he uses a lot of texture in his things, and he's just like, and I'm like to me, it'd be like I'd do 3 of them, like I don't like the way that looks. Like, but he's just like, and he does it perfectly, and
because he's got that vision ahead like 500 steps.
Yes,
that's my problem. I do that, and I'm like, oh, now step 2 doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering, these are limited edition. I don't know how. Did it say how many were made?
I did. Right? That's what I was looking for.
They're limited edition, but they're. I was thinking, does that look like his signature on the actual thing too? I mean, he may have actually signed. Like,
I'm not sure. It might, even if it was printed, it definitely was intended. It's like it
looks authentic, like an actual signature.
It's an official
on there,
like signature that they could match against something else.
Correct. So, which is pretty cool. That's pretty. Like I said, Paul's had this for a couple of months now. He showed it to me a while back. Someone gave it to him. Said use it as a promo thing. It's great. It's perfect. You know, is that Paul? Paul, do you know how many were made of these things?
I do not know what the totals were now. Because there was 3 figures.
Yes.
And I don't know if they're all the same print run or
okay.
Gotcha.
And I was wondering, actually, we looked at the authenticity. Do you think that actually is Todd McFarlane's signature on there? I think it's printed on it. That would be badass. Just because I mean, some piece of paper with his signature on there is.
I think it's printed though.
Yeah,
it's still super cool though.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is.
The whole thing's.
I mean, it's gonna be. I mean, Adam already said it's gonna look great on a shelf.
I may possibly have one of those myself. That may be a second one.
I thought there was only one in the world. It's right here. You can win it today.
That's it. Your only chance.
Well, there's only one of that particular one. I mean,
well,
I have to say how cameras. I stuff my face with pizza.
Yeah, see, it's fine. So we
I can write one of one on it with a Sharpie. That'll make the value go up. I'm pretty sure. That's how it works, right?
Yes. Yeah. One of one with a Sharpie.
Yeah. That way they know that there is only that one made.
And then the next one you write one.
Don't tell them the secret, man.
Every Wednesday.
Just gave away my whole game there.
Every Wednesday, he's gonna have a comic book, one on the shelf, one of one. Then he's gonna have another one every place is one of one.
I mean, we kind of get those now with the unlockable variants.
Yes.
Yeah. Totally.
One per store.
Yes. But you ended up getting two of one. I don't understand how that happened. Because I bought the gold foil Walking Dead Walking Dead Deluxe #1 from you, one per store variant, and then I went home and like 3 weeks later I came back in there. And he's like, "Dude, I got this." I'm like, I already own this. Like, you sold me the one per store variant. Like, I don't understand. Somehow Paul got two, and then Paul lost an entire box last week. So we don't know how this world is.
That's diamonds. Like every now and then, you get a free extra. You didn't plan on. To make up for the 20 things that you didn't plan on losing.
So I got to shut my mouth about the fact that I got the 1 in 25 variant this week that he didn't get, because I feel like I have the opportunity where he's going to actually pull my name out of that thing and then drop it back in.
That's what I would do.
And do it because, well, Paul already has one of these, so he can't. Like, it's not like he's waiting for it, but I think it's worth it to pull my name. I think I'm just promoting your place, so I think it's.
You think it's like fair that it should only go to you then? Okay.
It's probably should take his name out. I mean, isn't he officially a part of this whole project?
Yeah.
You could get the spawn and then sell it to Justin. I think you should probably enter just for that. Else. Or just hold it over his head and be like, I have this.
He's going to start pulling people's names. We already told him you're going to pull people's names out of there that have never been in here today. Just randomly. It's all my phone number, though. Hi, is Ben there? Yeah. No, Ben doesn't exist.
What? You sound a lot like Justin.
Weird. Taylor got in here. Taylor never came in here today.
Oh, yeah.
You win, so then you can rub it in my face that you won. That's how it is. Every Wednesday you're going to come in here and be like, hey, I got the spawn thing on my shelf.
So I said, if I win it, I'm just going to send you pictures of it. Like,
you're going to bring it with me to when you clean lines. You should put it on the bar.
Take it out.
Like, to me, I'm like, oh, Adam's going to give it to me. Nope.
That's just for you to look at. Don't touch it.
White gloves out. Like, put the white gloves on.
Yep.
Or you're going to send it to me out of the box.
Yes.
You're playing with it.
That's what I'm going to do. You're send you pieces of it, like pull the leg off, send you the leg.
Like a murderer?
Exactly.
Jeez, I'm crow.
I have the figurine. You get a finger.
No one's ever heard us talk on this podcast now, and this is what they just logged on and opened the video of you taking apart characters and mailing me character parts of Spawn. Yeah, no. Speaking of Spawn, they have a new writer, and I don't remember the guy's name, but not the writer of the comic book, but the writer of the movie that's supposed to come out. I'll look it up now because it's, again, we're so prepared for this Spawn movie writer, because the original script was actually written by Todd McFarlane.
Right.
But he is given over the reins. They ended up getting Jamie Foxx to play Al Simmons as Spawn.
Oh, super cool.
But that was so many years ago now, it's 2017, that they don't know if he's actually attached to it still.
Gotcha.
And there was someone else that was attached to play Twitch, which is the police officers that are on, or detectives that are on the comic book, Spawn comic book. But the movie Broken City with Mark Wahlberg, that came out a number of years ago, the writer of the script for that is now going to write the script for Spawn, the movie, which is the best news that could have come out, because obviously I like Mark Wahlberg. I actually like the movie Broken City pretty well. But as Paul knows in the other room, and as many people who listen to this podcast, is Todd McFarlane is one of my favorite artists of all time. He's an unbelievable artist. He is one of the worst comic book writers of all time. I'll tell you right now. I think some of his writing is extremely hard to read. It's just, you can't get you're like pulling teeth. It's like, I just want to overlook your drawings and scroll through. I cannot do it. Right. And so he did that whole Spider-Man line, Spider-Man #1 that he was able to do, and he wrote those books. I just couldn't get through them. So him running a movie, I'm like, man, it's gonna flop like the first one kind of did. Yep. But if someone else who actually writes movies is doing it, is now actually gonna be the one writing it, I'm excited about that. So it actually is. His name is Brian Tucker. So Brian Tucker will be writing the script for the new Spawn movie that's supposed to come out. No release date yet, but we're looking forward to that, because I think that a badass dark Spawn movie that's better than the first one will be awesome to watch.
God, I haven't seen that the first one in so long. I can't remember who was the actor that played.
Nobody. It wasn't the guy with Al Simmons. Wasn't. I don't think he did anything else. John Leguizamo was Clown.
Yeah, I remember that.
And Violator. Spawn movie, 1997. So that came out. That's actually kind of funny too, because we talked about Blade.
Yeah.
Spawn actually came out a year prior to Blade, the same year that Men in
That's
Black
crazy.
came out, because we talked about that last night.
So it was kind of a year of like the comic book franchises.
It was an independent one. Budget was $45 million, and it brought in $88 million,
Wow.
which is not bad.
No, not at all. But
story by Mark Deppy, Michael Jai White.
Huh.
With all the Archies. Said he had some Archies up there.
There's Archies, free Archies on that table over there, I believe, to the back near the.
Oh, I see.
He was in Spawn.
Yeah. I said I can barely.
Tyler Perry movie. A couple of Tyler Perry movies. It was actually recently in Mortal Kombat Legacy.
Ooh.
Right? Is that the new one? No, Mortal Kombat Legacy was the one that came out. The second one was from 2013. It was the sequel to the first Mortal Kombat movie. And he was in. That's it. Like Tyson HBO television.
That makes
movie.
sense because, like I said, I absolutely remember John Leguizamo, but other than that, I could tell you almost nothing.
No. It was, like I said, it was not horrible, but it was just definitely not what it deserves. And I think part of it is special effects from 1997 weren't up to what it would be now.
Absolutely.
And something like Spawn with his cape, like the way that Todd McFarlane drew Spawn and his cape, how it like flows around him and stuff like that. It's like a living thing almost.
Yeah.
It's like having that done
without the right CGI.
it's not going to do well. And then also, like I think we mentioned on the comic book movie episode that comes out on Wednesday that one of our things was like having casting says a lot, and that you don't Marvel at this point doesn't need to cast Nicolas Cage to be Ghost Rider because they don't need to sell the actor doesn't need to sell the movie. The movie's going to sell the actor now. However, with something like Spawn, having someone like Jamie Foxx attached to him to play Al Simmons would make a lot more sense to me because of the fact that
when I'm in 97, I'm even trying to think like even like Leguizamo was like he was known, but I mean
I would have loved to see Will Smith.
Oh God, that would have been great
because he was in Men in Black at the time, so you couldn't do. But Will Smith as Al Simmons would have been fun, or Wesley Snipes played Blade in the same around time. So there's like there are some people that would have been cool.
Now I'm gonna think about that. Would have been
John Leguizamo was in The Pest around then. Do you remember the Pest?
I do. Movie? Yeah.
What year was that though? Pest.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. Like I said, 97. I'm trying to. I mean, I was graduating.
Pest came out in 1997.
Graduating high school. So that was like those movies are right up our alley, and like I said, I don't have a lot.
Do you know how much money The Pest made? It was a $3.6 million budget. It made $8 million. Do you ever see The Pest?
I have a long time ago.
Do you know? Here's a better question for you. It's Rotten Tomatoes score. I want you to guess its Rotten Tomatoes score. So it's 1 out of 100.
Say 12.
8.
Ooh.
And you probably wanted to go 5. You went a little higher, thinking like, okay, it's gonna be a little more. Because you also, I almost guarantee you in your mind, you were like, it might be like 79. Like you were in your mind, you were like, I'm asking you this question because you're expecting it to be one or the other.
It's just how bad is it?
It's not a 50, which you go, okay, it's a 50, makes sense. It's 50% good. 8% means the movie should not have been made in the first place.
Yeah, I'd still take that. Cool. What was it? $5 million profit they made.
Oh yeah,
I'd take that.
Yeah, you want I'll give $5 million.
Yeah, we should make a good movie.
So how much do you think I have to offer Paul in cash to buy the Spawn and have him pick my name?
I don't even have any idea of the market.
I don't actually. I wonder if this is on there. I don't know. So it's a Spawn. I wonder if there is a like. Obviously, this came out a while ago. Spawn limited edition collectors. Limited edition figurine.
I'm still with you. I feel like that alone is worth coming out for. Like. It's such a.
That's why I keep on going back to it.
You're not in this raffle with like 10,000 people,
which is really cool too. Because my whole thing is like, wow, when someone thinks, my wife even and other people that are around me, that think comic books, they think right now they think Marvel, DC, they just think that's the end. Right. And the truth of the matter is, we're on issue 320 of Spawn.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. That poster over there you see on the wall, that Adam and I can see next to Berserker, which is Keanu Reeves' comic book, which is pretty cool, is King Spawn, which is supposed to come out in a couple of weeks. They just came out with Spawn Universe. So King Spawn is the very first monthly comic book from Spawn since Spawn #1.
Wow.
And so they've done one-offs. They've done 5-part miniseries. So this is an ongoing series that's coming out. And Spawn's Universe was basically like to recap everything. There's this one going to come out. There's Medieval Spawn coming. There's a bunch of other Spawn comic books that are coming. He's expanding the world of Spawn. And so Spawn itself being part of, like, he's not doing there's no Spawn comic book.
Right.
without the fact that there is a third and fourth and fifth and sixth comic book producer now, which is Image, IDW,
Right.
Boom, and all those other companies, that is focusing around. So having it not be just Marvel, DC as the giveaway, or a free comic book day, that most of these comic books are not from.
Well, it's another great reason to come out for free comic book day. I mean, even if you know, like you said, Marvel, DC, but there's, I mean, we talk about it all the time, but like IDW, I mean, you know, like we both love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So like, that's a whole other line of comics people haven't read. And like you mentioned, Images, you know, that's since I was a kid,
is up there now too. And I don't know if you look at sales now, I don't know if it used to be like Dark Horse was up there. So Dark Horse was one of the top ones. It was like Marvel, DC, and then they'd swap back and forth in Dark Horse and then IDW and Image. But Image has got to get up there.
What's so funny? I mean, you were there too. I remember like what a big deal it was when Image came out. Like I remember like, well, because like you say, you told us, but like the big names involved. And I remember so clearly everybody being like, another comic book company? Can we do that? Like,
and we've discussed this off the air, which is kind of funny because a lot of times Adam and I feel like sometimes we just have lapel microphones on
all the time
and be like, oh, hold on one second, record. And but the idea that they had the idea for Image. Todd McFarlane was done with Marvel. Tired of the not being able to own his own creations, and so on. So he got together with a couple of other people. And I don't know the story on who specifically was with him to start. But they went in, it was a group of 2 or 3 people went into the head Marvel office in New York City to tell them, we are quitting, just to let you know, we're coming for you in a sense.
Right.
We're going to create our own thing, that the creators are going to be able to own their own properties. So Todd McFarlane in 1997 created Spawn. Was it 1997? It must have been earlier than that because 97 when the movie came out. So it must have been 95 or whatever it was. 93? Might have been 93.
That sounds more right. I had 94 in my head, but yeah, it's right. I think you're right. It's I think it's either 93 or 94. It's funny. I just was looking at my Spawn #1 the other day.
92.
92. Dang. Yeah, that's about right. I mean, I would have been 12 years old. That sounds right. Spot on.
And so he came out with that. So he was so Spawn. He owns Spawn. Spawn movie. He has the rights to the Spawn movie. Spawn characters. Obviously now with Todd McFarlane, McFarlane Toys makes 90% of the characters you see out there now anyway. But he owned all that. So the idea behind Image was we're going to own our own properties, but Image is going to publish them for us.
Right.
And so they walked into the Marvel office in New York City to tell Marvel that they're leaving. And they saw like 2 other artists or creators in the hallway and they're like, what are you guys doing? They're like, well, we're going to tell Marvel to stick it. And they're like, oh, can we come? And they went up there and like, they ended up like recruiting in the Marvel offices, a couple more Marvel people to leave. And then later on, Jim Lee's now high up in DC, so things have moved around there and so on. But McFarlane stayed the entire time, and he's now the president, and now he has Kirkman from The Walking Dead's the COO there, Chief Operating Officer, or whatever. But I look at my Spawn #1 all the time.
I do too, man. It is. I know.
The colors are vibrant,
and I remember that being shocking at the time. Not vibrant colors, but the way McFarlane's were so dark and still so bright was what always got me, because we had, like we were just talking about, we had those like, you know, the X-Men #1 when it came out, and that had all the variant covers, like some of the ones that were over on the table over here. And those were bright, but those were like bright. I mean, there it is. Yeah, Spawn managed to somehow do that and still feel very, very dark. Yeah, God, I love that one.
I'm gonna try to see if I can do this desktop save. We're gonna try.
That'd be super cool. Technology.
To see.
Oh yeah.
I'm just trying to see if I can actually.
We're trying to show you a picture of the Spawn cover here. Ooh, there
so
you
it's
go.
not perfectly in the middle of the thing, but like either one of us standing on the other side of it. That cover right there with the the colors and the like the greens and the pinks and or the purples in there, and the idea that with the way Spawn has his hand, that's just a class. Oh my god, that was an actual thing falling off the wall. Classic. And if you look at the price on the thing, it's hard to see. It says $1.95 since 1992. The only other price that comic book has seen is $2.99.
Yeah,
he's gone up $1.
Yep,
in 20 or almost 30 years. And still, when you come in on a Wednesday and I buy a Spawn 320, like a couple weeks ago, it was $2.99. Every other comic book in the market is basically $3.99 or more. And DC's even talked about going to $5.99 a book. And like, at what point
is it not affordable anymore?
Yeah, I mean, I can buy books on this, like actual novels. Like he doesn't have any, an actual novel on the shelf a lot of times for like $14.99. So you're telling me for half that price every month I have to buy a new book?
That's that thing that's kind of in a lot of markets now that's being challenged. That is a challenge. Is you've got something like that, and it's like, if it's not still like accessible, because it's meant to be just a thing you read, then people will stop buying it for that. But then there's a whole other side that if what you're offering isn't like the peak of collectible at the moment, you don't want it. So I don't know what the balance is for that, because it's got to be letting people read comics though, because otherwise who cares? If we're not going to read them, let's just trade JPEGs on the internet.
Correct.
Like other idiots like me, I know.
Well, they have there's discussions out there too that there'll be a future podcast coming out hopefully in January about us talking digital versus paper on comic books, about how like, is it better to read on your iPad or is it better to read the actual comic book? Do some people buy both or do both or whatever? But there was a company out there too. I don't remember the name of it. I heard on a podcast, which was, they just do graphic novels. They just basically, it's 5 issues. You buy the graphic novel, they release it all at once, like binging, binging comic books. It's instead of binging TV shows. And so is that the future?
What? And if I'm honest with you, I mean, for years since I've been into collecting, what I do is wait for the whole collected
Paul does the same thing
to come out, and then I don't. And when I buy that, there's no concerns about quality. Like I throw it on my coffee table, I sit drinks on it, I do whatever. It goes up on my shelf. I can always read it.
And I think about that for most of it. And then there's actually this app now. I don't know if anybody's ever a comic book fan, called Key Collector, that came out a couple of years ago. They actually have now. Where is it? I just under the view all updated categories. They have, where did it go?
Key Collector is pretty fun. I downloaded it a couple months ago, and
there was a one that was TPB Money. Okay. And what these are featured trade paperbacks that are resell are considerably more than the original retail price. And so it's kind of cool. And there are a few that are like that. But when you buy a trade paperback or a TPB, you buy it because you don't care. You're going to read it. No one's not a lot of people are collecting them, but like you're here. Something's Killing the Children's trade paperback. Collecting issues number 1 through 5. Right now, high grade is selling for $60. It was probably purchased for $19.99 at the but that's just insane, and that's why that free comic book today would be kind of cool. House of Slaughter, right? Whatever it was called, House of Slaughter. Spawn Origins number 1, 336 page hardcover collection of Spawn. 100 issues 1 through 12. You want to know why it's selling for $120. Copies ordered by retailers, 963. So it's 1 of 1,000 basically. So there are some benefits to it, reading,
absolutely,
and all that stuff, but also collectability. I am a single issue person, and I'm even a single issue person to the point where like I'll wait 5 issues still. Binge the 5 issues, then hold off. And then wait. And honestly, in a cool sense of that aspect, I realized the other day was that I actually can do that, and then I reread some of the books. So I go through, and I'm reading Walking Dead or whatever. Or not Walking Dead. What was the one I was reading Walking Dead last night, but what I was trying to read the other day was something. Undiscovered Country. It's a new book, but by Charles Soule. Great comic book.
It was good. I took a look at that.
So it's so in depth. There's a lot going on. That I've read issues 1 through 6, and then I'm like, okay, I'll now wait and I'll read issues 7 through 12. And I realized when I got to that issue 7, I'm like, what the hell is going on? And so I had to go back, and so it was kind of cool. It was like read 1 through 6, and then I go through and read 1 through 12. And I guarantee you, when I get to 18, I'll read 1 through 18. Issue 1 through 6 is going to get read a ton of times. But then I also find myself always going back to The Walking Dead. Like I continuously go back to The Walking Dead. But I think part of it is because I can just fall asleep.
And that's what's fun about comic books, though. And if they keep the balance right, is you can really kind of approach it any way you want. As Justin and I have talked about, I pretty much exclusively read digital comics. I mean, same ones we're talking about. I just buy them on my iPad. And that's mostly just for me a space issue. If I had the space, I'd have closets like Justin's too. In fact, I just brought back a bunch of comic books when we were in Illinois, and apparently I'm the only one that thinks that's super cool to bring giant boxes of comic books into the house. So I was like, Annie's parents came to visit us the other week, and they were like, "Do you need anything like we left here?" And I was like, "If you could grab that giant box of comic
white boxes,
the big long one that weighs a lot, I got
you'll both need to grab it. Both of you together.
But
it's funny too, is I wanted that King Spawn poster at some point, and now it's gonna get all ruined because it's fall off the wall every 10 seconds.
We were talking about Spawn, and that thing just like slowly started coming off the wall.
He's actually in that closet. Actually, Todd McFarlane will be on at 2:00.
He's in the closet with Spawn,
hanging out.
7
minutes in heaven.
The weirdest 7 minutes
in heaven. Spawn and Todd McFarlane.
and his creator.
Because Todd McFarlane's weird as it is. So like Spawn and his creator in the closet doing 7 minutes of heaven. No, absolutely not. But to reset, I've said it a million times. 547 Hammond Street, Bangor, Maine. We're only broadcasting until 2. But the shop's open until 6 for free comic book day. Yep. There are a good number of comic books left.
Yeah, definitely.
So make sure you grab some. It's great. They're worth it. They're free. If you know a friend or a family member that's into comic books and they can't make it here, swing by, grab some books, give them to people. There's a stack of comic books here that I'll be able to take home with me, and I won't read them all. Some of them I don't really care about, but I'll give to other people because I honestly think that one of the coolest things for people who are younger to escape the world crazy world we live in right now is to get into a world that doesn't have there's other problems that aren't real.
Absolutely,
monsters from other country, other places, or zombies or whatever it is.
It lets you deal with real world issues in a way that lets your brain digest them without scaring the crap out of you. That's what you just said. I've always thought that with zombie movies, I mean, we're so clearly talking about this fear of whatever, society collapsing, people out of control, mob rules, something, but it's easier for a kid to think about stuff like that.
Well, I mean,
not that Walking Dead is for kids, but you know what I mean.
Yes, but there's versions of it. Yes. Something out there that is for your kid or child or someone growing up that wants to read. I was a crappy reader when I was growing up. And so comic books were one of those things that I could easily digest, and it got me to read
most brilliant things about them.
And it's a monthly thing. It's a subscription of sorts. It's something you can bring in. It's wholesome. A lot of them are wholesome. There's a kids rack out in the other room too. If you have young kids.
Well, talk about, you said even a kid that just doesn't want to read, and you're like, well, read this. If you walk up and throw a stack of comic books down, guarantee you there's going to be reading happening.
Yes.
Every time.
Yes.
Guarantee you.
And they'll understand. It's one of those things. They make him dumb enough, but they make him adult enough that we can read him, but also dumb enough that but dumbed down, I should say.
I know
so that younger people and the younger generation can actually read them. And
more accessible.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's also, like I said, to me, it's a single issue thing. So I read them, but I also the collectability of them is like I am a perfectionist on the idea that I need the whole set. So even if I got to the point where like Marvel Unlimited, Adam and I are both Marvel Unlimited subscribers, but I still come here every week because I want to support Paul, and I like having it. But I'm a collectible person, so even if I can read, Mortal Hulk is a bad example because issues 1 through 5 are like the whole 5 issues are worth $100. So, but like say for an example, Strange Academy just came out a couple months ago or about a year ago with Scotty Young's book, and it's like a Harry Potter meets. We just talked about that earlier. Harry Potter meets Marvel, but it's actually it's Strange Academy. It's Academy for Magic Kids.
Paul just walked in, so we got to be real serious now.
Well, I'm trying to convince the 2 guys that are here to come out here and participate in the podcast.
Yeah, totally.
So Logan is here all the time and says, I don't have anything to say.
I guarantee you, within 2 seconds of talking comic books, he'll find something to say.
Yeah, it's fine.
He never shuts up.
That we don't shut up. That's what I mean. Just
I don't see how
it's not for everybody. We just said earlier, this is we're the talent, and we're definitely that's a loose term.
Loose term
is the talent.
Well, I told you that before.
Yes.
That I am simply the talent, and I could take this elsewhere, but nobody else wants it.
No,
it's hard, man.
No.
Being the eye candy is super stressful. I know.
OBC,
hard. I dealt with that a lot. Like me and the front guy that really was just that beautiful front image of OBC.
The funny thing is they're gonna have to work back up front for the whole 2 hours that we're doing the beer tasting because I know where you're gonna be.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
so
true.
they gotta
they're gonna have to handle that. Yeah, well, Logan can handle it because he's not old enough to drink anyway, so he's stuck up there.
See, so we have an idea too. We want to pitch to you right now while you're kind of leaning here. You're not gonna be able to see on the camera, but we have an idea.
We share about the microphone here.
Well, there's actually this one too.
Oh, wait, there's another one here too.
Grab that one on the thing. You can't.
Grab this one and I still can't be seen.
You can't be seen, but if you grab that microphone
you can be
there.
seen if you sit here, you want to talk. They see me all the time.
No, that's fine. We'll just talk.
Okay.
I'm over here. I mean,
Perfect.
Okay, so here's the deal. We have an idea.
Okay.
Christmas time.
All right.
We do a Galactic Comics after hours.
Okay.
So you one night during the shopping season, you're open later.
Sure.
You close the shop 21 plus at 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock if you want to do a little early, like a Thursday night.
Right.
And we have drinks available. So you can come in, you get a craft cocktail in a can or a beer or a seltzer.
Yeah.
And it's parents go out and they drop their kids off to get a babysitter, and they come out Christmas shopping while they're browsing at the shop.
Yeah.
They're looking through old comic books. They've got a nice can of beer in their hand. A couple of tables set up so people can just hang out and sit down, get away from their kids, and be in a nice spot.
For a lot of parents without their kids here, everybody's knowledgeable, so they can just say, "My kid loves this."
Correct.
Yeah.
Which if they don't have somebody that can help them, is this ridiculous.
If they buy a book, they can always put it in the back office, so they can. I'll gotta come back next week and grab it, so I can wrap it later on, or maybe we do that. Where we have some volunteers that come in here and they're sitting at a table. and they're wrapping the presents for you too.
Ooh, yeah, no, there's an idea right there.
Just like an hour and a half, maybe, just for one drink or two people.
Easy, yeah.
And then you can walk around.
A couple hours of that. You know, like a little 6 to 9 maybe. You know, the current hours that we're doing, the 9 p.m.
Yeah.
Say that one night we're open late.
Yeah. And you can come here and shop. And like I said, have drinks.
Yeah.
And we can do a sponsorship too. We can just we have a couple cases of drinks that are donated, and you just come in, you get a free drink to come in here and do it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's awesome.
I think we could. Main State of Mind will sponsor it if we
have
to
go.
Beer, so we can do that. So
very good.
We'll reach into our
we're getting closer to the end here. We got 12 more minutes of broadcasting here. Is there anything else you want to throw in here, Paul? I mean, I can't see Paul right now, but he's here.
No, I want to say thank you to everybody. It's been a great time doing the podcast in here. I think Free Comic Book Day has been excellent. It's been good. It's been busy. Some new faces coming in. A lot of my regulars stopping by to say hello. We're going to look forward to the upcoming changes, the full-time schedule coming up, open the store up. It's going to be great. So all the things that happen, all the new things that change.
Galactic Comics on Facebook, on Instagram, right? You're on those two things.
We're on those two things.
You can email you. What's your email?
galacticcomicsbgr@gmail.com.
Cool.
And your phone number?
659-1161.
For now, right? Did you just see that out there recently? There's an article that says that we might run out of 207 numbers in 2024.
Really?
Yeah. And there's a big thing out there
it's finally happening.
I don't understand how though.
It's taking a long time.
Yeah.
I don't understand how, because I feel like we used to have home phone number and cell phone number.
Yeah,
I think the majority of people don't have home phone numbers anymore. Just cell phone numbers. So shouldn't there be technically slightly less? But I guess
you're starting to
do
get
your kids have
phones
phones yet?
Not yet, but they want.
But
we're talking doing the house phone.
Well, they'll have a phone number prior to when you got a phone number.
That's true.
Personally,
right,
so it is a lot of younger.
Yeah,
even if your
generation.
kid gets to 16 years old.
That's true.
You didn't have a cell phone at 16.
Oh,
I didn't have a cell phone at 16.
No.
So you're gonna get more numbers.
We're talking about doing with the seeing how we have all the girls of doing the old-fashioned home phone. So if the boy wants to call, he always has that chance of dad answering the phone. You guys can remember what the 80s were like.
In the background, you don't even have to have a phone anymore. You could just have the app that goes.
so Annie just texts me. I'm watching you guys talk about your giant boxes of comic books while enjoying the view of your giant boxes of comic books that are sitting in my dining room.
So we'll tell you right now, the only person watching this out of the three of us right now, his wife is your wife. So she wins. She wins the prize.
Good for her.
And
thank you.
Scott was here.
Scott, I'm just saying, like out of our three wives, is that you're the only one that cares right now is Annie.
Yeah.
So
I mentioned this
Annie.
before. My wife said no. I listen to enough.
We talked about that, but we started to use the podcast as a way to talk about comic books. We're like, oh, but it's the podcast we're talking about. She's like, no, you're still talking about comic books.
Right. No, yeah. And then I tried to convince him. And I told her before, I was like, hey, do you know, I gave you a nod and I'm propped and I dropped your name in there. And she goes, yeah.
The last line. If anybody listens to last week's podcast,
talk about comics more.
With Paul Eaton, the Galactic Comics, we talked about our favorite writers.
Yes.
And the very last line in the actual thing before we went into the song, the outro says, one of these days my wife will listen to this. And I feel like that's what we need to clip that and just use it for every ending of every podcast ever.
I think that's perfect.
One of the ways
we should put all of the episodes that he's been on CD and put it in like a special edition collector's box.
Yeah.
That's the
then
gift.
Christmas morning she opens it and it's
That's
the
her
collector's
gift.
edition of all of your podcast appearances.
That's when I'll have a spare
Will
bed.
you make sure that you make a 1-of-1 on that, please?
With my Sharpie.
And I will make sure I have a spare bed in my house when she kicks him out and says, that's what you got me for Christmas.
I'm out there creating value with my Sharpie. So yeah, I will make sure it's a 1-of-1 for you.
I love it. All right.
And then new comic book days every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday, new comic book day.
Sometimes they show up, sometimes they don't. But
fingers crossed. But it does go a little bit out of control. But...
No, every Wednesday is new comic book day at 547 Hammond Street, and you can come there. You're open at 5 now.
5 now, coming soon, 10 a.m.
Oh man, that's a huge change.
That's huge.
Huge.
You get to see me be more conscious, I think, because by 5 p.m. I've already worked since 6 a.m. So in theory, a 10 a.m. version of me is going to be fresher.
Yes. Plus, we'll be here doing things for 10 a.m.
Yes.
Not just usually we're at the other place. Like I said, I was joking earlier, but there's times I've showed up at this place at 5:01.
Oh, sure.
And Paul's got his bag on him. He's grabbing boxes of comic books out of his car.
True story.
Just came in.
So, or times I've been here, I'm like, oh, it's 6 o'clock. Where's Paul? Well, Paul had to work his other job until now. So
nobody showed up. So
this
he had to stay there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
He's got 2 jobs now, starting at the end of the month. Here and being a dad.
There you go.
Yes,
That's it.
I'm looking forward to it. I get to see my little munchkins.
Perfect.
Yep.
So, it was good to see them too. So,
Absolutely.
but thanks, Paul. We're gonna finish up here and come back.
Is Jared gonna jump on really quick? Do you have a minute for Jared?
You should.
Jared's just watching.
It's fine. It's absolutely no pressure at all.
Pressure.
So,
but you should totally hear.
You should just hear though.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. So this is I'll do a quick introduction. This is Jared, the voice and face of Bangor Comic and Toy Con, and the guy that kicks my ass in Magic. So I'm glad to introduce him.
So before we get into this quickly with him, but do you know magic before you bought this stuff, or is magic something you've learned over?
Magic I've learned literally in the past 2 weeks.
Okay, as I say, because I knew you didn't have magic cards at one point. You started carrying magic cards.
Right. We started carrying more.
You knew Pokemon when you opened the shop too, or just?
I learned Pokemon through a friend of mine's brother that started buying from me back when we were doing the online store only. He asked if I could order them. He said, I'd rather give you my business than where I buy them.
Okay.
I said, great, sure. So I started ordering. He says, do you want to learn? I said, well, for the amount of these you keep buying off me, it'd be nice to know what the heck I'm even selling you. So that got me to learn Pokemon. And Pokemon I picked up on and started playing, and my daughters play. My wife actually asked them to actually play. And it's a fun game, and I love playing with the kids. That one's great. So Magic is much more in-depth, but I am picking it up, kind of. I guess you can talk to Jared about how much I actually am picking it up. Or
He's picking it up pretty well.
I'm fodder. I'm just fodder. I'm there to get destroyed.
The last time Paul played with Logan, he beat him with 3 separate decks.
Okay.
Paul is also the only reason that I didn't get my ass kicked in Magic last night. So,
so Jared, what do you say again? You mentioned he introduced you, but what do you do for Comic-Con?
So I am the Billy on the streets for the convention. I'll be around on Facebook Live the entire weekend, pretty much nonstop. Maybe a break for an hour. The whole weekend. I'll be going up to just random people, asking them questions. Letting people know what we got for guests, who we've got for artists, vendors. Just giving people a quick tour before they show up, so
that's
that
awesome.
People know what they're expecting.
Yeah, we get when you get there. Yeah, absolutely. So that's October 1st through the 3rd.
Yep, over
Bangor
at the Bangor
Mall. And that is exciting because we have people from mall rats technically, or clerks, but to be at the mall, it's really badass. And one of those things I will say about local comic book shops is cool is that there's only a few here. So when I see people like Will shops here, Jay shops here, you shop here. So it's not only do the local comic book shop bring in local people, but the con people, the people that are when you go to see Comic-Con, it's the people who run it and help with it also shop at the local shop you're in. The thing about New York Comic-Con, it's you're not going to walk into a local comic book shop in New York Comic-Con and run into the person who runs New York Comic-Con.
Right.
Exactly. Sorry, that's not going to happen. Or so you might see someone who volunteers with them, but you're not going to see someone who actually runs the Comic-Con. So seeing you guys every couple of weeks in here is a lot of fun because Will and Jay are always talking about a guest or talking about something don't say anything yet they get this thing, But did you get involved? Have you been involved for years with them, or have you just?
So this is going to be my first convention working with Bangor Comic and Toy Con. I came in right before the pandemic when we were originally going to be doing the 2020 Bangor Comic and Toy Con at the Cross Insurance Center. And then obviously we all know what happened next.
Yes.
Then things got pushed off until the fall, and then things got pushed off until 2021, and then things got pushed off again to fall of 2021. And so now we're finally able to have it. I'm just absolutely ecstatic.
Yes, it'll be a lot of fun. So, if you're ready for it, so Bangor Comic Con I think they're at Bangor Comic Con, the Comic Toy Con, right?
Yeah,
whatever. You can find
Comic and Toy Con on Facebook. We've got an Instagram. We've got a website.
BangorComicandToyCon.com. You can buy tickets.
Buy your tickets right on GrowTix. We also have an app that we use we're going to be using for the convention. It's called the Gather app.
Okay.
You can get notifications live at the convention in case of any, scheduling delays or anything like that regarding panels, photo opportunities, stuff like that.
That's really cool.
I'm excited. There's also some things coming up. How did that? Noah Hathaway is watching. There's a movie screening, I believe, the Wednesday prior to it. There's tickets available. Should still be available tickets to that. That's different ticket. It's an advanced ticket for that. That's gonna be at Seasons Down Under Club, which is pretty cool. I'm just looking at my message from Will to see what it's at the mall. So you want to make sure I said that. So it's at the mall. It is ticketing through Grow Tickets, which is pretty cool. Grow Tickets. And then there's the guys from Jason Mewes and Brian O'Halloran and Judith Hogue we talked about, Noah Hathaway, Mick Foley,
Mickey James.
For some people from some anime people.
Yeah, we got the voice actors from My Hero Academia. We've got Midoriya, Izuku Midoriya, the main character, hero named Deku. We've got Shoto Todoroki, who is the son of the new #1 hero Endeavor. And we've got the voice actor for fan favorite villain Twice.
Cool. That's awesome. So that's another thing. It's not a world that I live in, but I'm excited to meet these people. If that makes any sense. Like with cons,
that's the brilliance of this. Like what you're saying with the comic book, like the shop, is like there's a lot of things here. Come in for what you like, and like find the other stuff too.
You buy a ticket to Comic Con, and you get all these different things in there. And it's like I've met, I converse and regularly converse with Ben Bishop, but I'm excited to see him at con. Joseph Schmalke, I had him on the podcast. And I saw him here signing. Right, exactly. I'm excited to see him at con. It's like one of those things that's like one weekend where your entire world is just revolved around stuff that for your entire life you've been made fun of basically for loving. And I'm 35 now, and I'm like, I don't give a crap. I'm going to Comic Con. Like I'm excited for Comic Con.
It really is, and it's you and I've talked. I don't know. I mean, we've always had that streak. This last year, I think a lot of people even that hadn't thought about it in ages were like, I still love that stuff, and now people are coming back. But it is, man. I'm like you. I'm just like. The rails are off. I'm back into like comics and video games and everything that I used to love like all the time. And Annie loves that. She thanks you for that immensely.
I mean, all of that stuff has just been brought into the mainstream. I mean, people aren't quite made fun of anymore for liking comic books. I mean, ever since Iron Man came out, the MCU kind of brought everything to the forefront. I mean, even your third-party comics, not your big two, Marvel and DC, like Image Comics. I mean, you see the mainstream popularity of The Walking Dead and now Invincible. It's
I would never have had it. I mean, I have what's it now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tattoos. 4 of them feature comic book characters. Do you think at some point I would have ever had that when I was 10 years old? Thinking the first tattoo I'm going to get when I turn 18 is a Stan Lee and Spider-Man outfit. Like, that's not going to happen.
I mean, like I said, I'm a little bit older than Justin, not by much, but like I remember clearly in the late 80s into like maybe 92 going to comic book shops. Like they were not a lot of them. They were hard to find. I grew up in Virginia Beach, and like, I could go there and get like a really cool Spider-Man t-shirt and know that for the next like month I was gonna be made fun of at school for having that t-shirt. I still wore it, but like you said, it was not a mainstream thing, and it's wild now to see it accepted because man, it was weird in the late 80s and 90s. Like,
so piggybacking off of that, Dungeons and Dragons, even now people are still made fun of for playing Dungeons and Dragons, but we're starting to see that same forefront of D&D that we saw with comic books in the late early 2000s. Now we're seeing with Critical Role, Matt Mercer's D&D podcast, Brendan Lee Mulligan, his Dimension 20, which is all the guys from College Humor, and then you've got Joe Manganiello, Deathstroke himself is now the face of D&D for Wizards of the Coast. I mean,
super cool.
They did a whole contest drawing to get to play D&D with him as your dungeon master.
That's awesome.
Which is fascinating. It's and like I said, that which is cool because I love, and what does benefit is some of these things. Like I'm not going to say that's part of it, but like when my wife and I were rewatching The Big Bang Theory, and then playing it on TV, it's putting it in front of people who may not have ever even known what it was or even been experiencing it because of how they would have been ostracized in a sense for even like my brother. My brother is a kid that grew up playing in local bands, playing the underground in Bangor and all that stuff. My little brother him and his fiance play D&D all the time. It's like, it's not something he ever thought he was ever going to be able to get into. And now he loves it.
My roommate from college and a good friend of mine.
Do you pay for those?
He just popped up on Discord the other night. I was online, like doing some weird NFT stuff. And I was like, dude, what are you on Discord for? And he's like, oh, like me and my friends from work have a weekly D&D that we play like through Discord. And like, I don't even know that he ever played. I mean, I've been his friend for years, but it's like even now he's coming into it, and like it's super cool. I love it.
And see, if I get into it, my wife would still make fun of me, but if she makes fun of me for liking comic books, she makes fun of me for like everything. So it's not like she makes fun of me for being me. So it's not like it's a new thing.
I was waiting for you to get to the point on that
like,
one.
So I mean, I'm glad. So there's cool things, and at the mall, I saw the post that he posted to the group for not publicly yet, but like where the layout's going to be for different things at Comic-Con, and I'm really excited for the way that it's laid out at the mall with the different shops being different things and vendors and there's Artist Alley, and there's we're going to be there. My company or company I also work for, Warner Brewing Company, it's going to have a beer garden there, which is pretty cool. We're excited for that. So October 1st to the 3rd. But prior to that, as you get ready for it, you might see Jared a little bit more on the internet at the Bangor Comic and Toy Con. Facebook page, Instagram, all those live ones. Because you were doing it too when we did the Schmalke signing here. You were doing that too that day, talking to them, and when Bob was here doing the signing as well. So I'm guaranteeing there's going to be someone signing here at some point again in the near future.
Just a few weeks ago, we did the Wands and Wizards event over in Brewer at Selfie Space, which was such a fun time. And another one of our volunteers, Jason, he and I went on Facebook Live and took a tour of Selfie Space, all the vendor spaces, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty of events. I mean, now that, as people are getting vaccinated and, COVID numbers are going down and all of that, more events are happening, and BCTC we love to be at events.
Yes.
That is our forte right there.
Exactly. So
got to build the community.
Exactly. That's what we said. The whole thing that's one of the coolest things about all the things we mentioned. I'm talking about Paul, Pokemon, Dungeons and Dragons, Magic, comic books, movies, all this pop culture out there is not just the collectible things, it's the community it's based around. And something that Comic-Con does is brings all of those things under one umbrella and says, this is a cool place to come hang out. And it's well worth it. If anyone's ever been to Bangor Comic-Con or a Comic-Con in general, Bangor Comic-Con is a great Comic-Con to start with. If you've never been to one, because it's not overwhelming.
It was my first one.
And you can come and go, and it's not. If you ever get someone's like, oh, you won tickets, or I'm buying you tickets to go to San Diego Comic-Con, do not go to that Comic-Con as your first Comic-Con. Hell, if it's your only opportunity, go. But my point is, do not select that or New York or any of these massive ones as your first ones, because you're just not going to get the experience you're going to get at a local regional Comic-Con like Bangor Comic-Con or some of the other ones. Like I've been to ones like Granite Con or any of those ones. Those are the ones you want to start off with, because that's where you're actually going to be able to talk to an artist for more than 30 seconds. Like you're going to be able to talk to a guest for more than 30 seconds. Like when I met now I should have thought of this ahead of time, but a Walking Dead character that was at last year's Comic-Con. Cooper. When I met him, I got a 5-minute conversation with him. He was asking me about the brewery because he knew I worked for a brewery, and talking to me. And he's like, I don't drink beer, but I'm interested in all this stuff. He was just, if he was at New York Comic-Con or San Diego, I would have had here's a signature, take a photo, move along. But he actually was able to have a conversation with me, not knowing who I was from a hole in the wall. And that's
such a nice guy too.
We got to get him back at some point.
Yeah, probably my favorite guest that we had last convention was Cooper.
A couple of years from now, get him back just to loop around with it. It'd be kind of cool to have Cooper back. But
absolutely.
Yeah. We're going to get ready to round this thing up here, but thanks for coming on, man. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I'll catch up with you in a little bit. We'll be out front. But yeah, that was Jared. He, like I said, he's a MC person, does a lot of the live videos and stuff like that for the Bangor Comic and Toy Con. It's happening October 1st through the 3rd in Bangor, Maine at the Bangor Mall. Buy your tickets at Bangor Comic Con, comicandtoycon.com. And so this has been Free Comic Book Day at Galactic Comics in Bangor, Maine. I'm excited. I am totally think that we can figure this thing out and handle this thing out. I'm ready for our next live broadcast. I've already thought about it on the way here this morning. Was like, we want to do it at or in a brewing company in Orono. I think awesome do it on the patio.
I agree.
And do that. It's a little bit harder to do it in places that have music playing and stuff like that. So I thought about other places that we could do it at too.
Right.
But it's a little bit harder when there's music or something playing because you can't hear it. But if we do these a lot and we like them, we can get the headphones
absolutely
with the microphones that we have a little bit better opportunity to have less noise around for these. But I think it's been fun.
It's been tons of fun. There's still a bunch of
free comic books. Yeah, that's definitely worth it.
Beer with it soon too.
Beer, and then honestly, come try some beer, drink some comic books.
Sure.
Come drink some comic books and get some free beer. I don't know.
Exactly.
So come get some.
Got to be 20 whatever for the beer, not for anything else.
No, comic books. Come get your comic books. Have a sample of some beer. We'll be here at 3:00 ish till no more samples are available for the beer and Maine City. So just to round this thing up as we finish this 2-hour long.
Hey, do you have that graphic now that we can use
actually,
too?
This one? Yeah. So just to finish up a little bit about this is that we don't have one podcast anymore. We have 2.
Exactly.
And it's not any more episodes. There will be some more content that I've been doing here and there, like I did the Justin's Commute stuff and all that stuff. But most of it is going to be just splitting the 2 podcasts into 2 different things every other week. Most of the time, there might be a week where it's back-to-back Main State of Mind podcast and back-to-back whatever. We'll figure it out. Or it might be like we just couldn't do a Main State of Mind one.
Defining the content. So know what we're talking about.
Capes and Tights is a new one, which is basically at Capes and Tights podcast on Facebook and on Instagram. And you can search on Spotify and Apple for Capes and Tights. It comes up pretty easily because of the name. Or visit us at capesandtights.com to find all those links and all the places and a little bit more content. But that will be our comic book related podcast. And I say
Right.
comic book, but it's really going to be probably more like pop culture. So there might be something that comes up that has nothing to do with comic books, but it's really in the same realm and vein of pop culture.
If it's in that community, as we've been saying, it's fair game.
So maybe we'll do a D&D, and it'd be fun to, I don't know
Actually,
anything about it, but
that
maybe
would be
Jared to come on and
amazing.
talk about D&D and stuff, or Paul to talk about magic and stuff like that too. So, but then we're going to focus mostly on the Maine State of Mind. It's going to be mostly Maine related content or something that connects the person or the guest to Maine. And that will be like, for an example, we're in Maine right now doing a comic book shop live stream, but also maybe someone who used to live in Maine now lives in another part of the country. We talk to them about something, or someone who moved to Maine to start a business, or so on. So we've done it in the past. We've had guests from all over. We did Jack from Spencer's Ice Cream recently, and we did Abe Firth from Orno Brewing Company. We did Mark Horton from Woodman's. We've talked to a bunch of people. We did actually when Adam first started. We did Deergo Draft Services.
We did.
So talking about people from Maine and talking the Maine thing, but also Maine food, Maine traveling, Maine related things.
Exactly.
So that's where the Maine State of Mind will be. And then the comic book podcast will be Capes and Tights, and it'll be every other week.
And as you know, we've kind of hinted at a little bit too. I mean, we have some other ideas with Maine State of Mind that don't need to be part of the weekly podcast, that'd be special drops. So there'll be more content.
And we're excited to do that because it also allows us to do Adam and I like talking, and we like talking to each other, and we like talking about certain subjects. So this comic book one, there'll be podcasts that'll just be us talking about a subject of comic books. Could be half an hour podcast, and that's
exactly
it. Done. But then there'll be other ones that will focus mainly on Maine things. So that's at the Maine State of Mind. You can find us on Apple and Spotify, also on Instagram and Facebook. You can also find us at themainstateofmind.com. Again, just for everybody watching, it's those social media things for Capes and Tights. And then these are the Maine State of Mind. And so, yeah, we'll go back to this really quickly, do a quick little finish up here. We did get a nice banner made up for this that we neglected to actually get it up, and we had it up, and then it was too high. It was hitting me in the head. Next time we'll be a little more professional about it.
Yeah, we'll get it
figured out. I think I'll get a one that's like tall too.
I mean, we didn't want to go too gusto on dismantling his ceiling.
No, whatever.
So
do you think I should just leave that there and see if he notices it?
Yes, I do.
But this is we're at Galactic Comics in Bangor, Maine. Come down here right now. Well, I'm gonna be here for a while. Adam's gonna hang out for a little bit, but I'll be here for a while. So if you want to just say hi to us and talk, anything else you want to talk about for the podcast, give us some ideas. We'll discuss it, and we won't be obviously on live, but we'll be here to talk. Anything else?
I don't think so. I think that was great. I think it's time to start getting free beer ready for people.
Read comic books. I love them. Always will. Read them digitally. Read them in person, but support your local comic book shops, and then extend that to support your local businesses in general. I mean, there's definitely some need now for the pandemic and so on, but your local comic book shop needs your help to keep this community going, and that's why we're here today, and that's why Free Comic Book Day exists. And
that's why if you're like me and you love the digital comics, like still find the issues that are your favorites, get them from your local shop. And like you said, but just remember there's a bunch of other stuff there too. So if you read digital, don't forget that you have a local comic book shop.
Absolutely. So thanks everybody. It's been fun. Thank you for dealing with all the small mishaps. Really, we got started a little late and a couple things we just tried out, but most of the time it was pretty fun and pretty easy. So I will give a shout out to this app. If anybody wants to use this and they're up for streaming, StreamYard. It was a fun little easy way. I could easily send it to Facebook. It's 2 different Facebook pages and the YouTube page. Comments can show up on the thing, so it'll be fun to do the next do a live stream on that as well. So Wednesday on the Capes and Tights podcast and on the Maine State of Mind, Josh Moulton talking comic book movies. And the following week and the week after that will be a couple more comic book related podcasts as well to do the whole comic book extravaganza. And then we're finishing up a comic book extravaganza with Will and Jay from the Bangor Comic and Toy Con. And actually, I think they finish up with Paul talking the state of comic books, just talking about comic books in general. But lots of comic books stuff going on over the next few weeks,
all building up to the big event.
Yes, and so then Comic-Con will be fun too. Bangor Comic and Toycon.com. So this has been the Maine State of Mind and the Capes and Tights podcast.
That's it.
That's
thanks for listening. As always, send us some messages. Let us know what you want to hear. Let us know what you want us to talk about.
Absolutely. Anywhere. All the Facebook social medias or Instagram social media pages, or hello@themainstateofmind.com. We'll get to us as well. So
start working on that Slack this week.
Absolutely. So thank you guys very much for listening.
Yeah, thank you.
And watching. And we'll be back again on Wednesday for another episode, but not live. Just download it on Spotify and Apple. Peace.